Okay. Hi, YouTube. It's time for more YouTube-based content. Hell yeah. Today, this is something that my community raised channel points for a while back. We're going to be marking every single RGG boss in the series. Yes, even Dead Souls is in there. The only games that aren't in here are Kenzan and Lost Judgment Kaito files, which I will sum up later on, towards the end. Is this loud? This feels loud. I don't know. This feels actually loud. I'm going to turn down a tiny bit. But this is already on like 7% volume. Anyway, this list is going to be a bit scattered. As you can see, we start with the Man in Black from K2 for some reason. Don't know why. We're going to change up the list a little bit because can't remember / not enough knowledge. That's fine because obviously I've done one speedrun of OG2, so I don't really have amazing authority on those, and I haven't done the PSP games either. We're going to change Class D to being, excuse me, I'm using the wrong keyboard, gun / baseball bat, because with the route changes in regards to obviously 0 and 4, some bosses are literally just use guns or baseball bat. Same with 3. So some of them that do use those won't be in that tier because they will require a bit more explanation, but it's whatever. You know, there are some bosses that are literally now just shoot. So, you know, looking at you, Anderson, too. So they get their own tier. So to preface what this is going to be about, this is going to be a tier list of all of the bosses, every single boss in the Yakuza series, including the OGs, including Ishin, including Dead Souls, including Fist of the North Star. It is going to be based on their any percent and their definition of what the any percent route would be. So for 0, it would be obviously shotgun route. For any game, it would be on, obviously, the default difficulty, so normal for the OG games, or easy for, obviously, most of the games going forward, or, obviously, what the default difficulty is for that run, aka LAD. The LAD one's going to be interesting to surmise, considering they're very different. This might take a while, considering ranking the games, of which there was only like 18 games, took an hour, and we have all of these boss fights. There are repeats in here. If you look at 6, you can see Jungihan 1, Jungihan 2, and Jungihan 3. That's actually not that Jungihan, don't worry about it. So, I think it's time to start. We're gonna start with Kiwami 2, with the Man in Black. Now, I've had a look forward in the list. There are some people that are weirdly placed in this list. For some reason, there's like a 0 boss coming up here. Yeah, this guy's in the costume. We'll get to him in a bit. We start with the Man in Black. Now, there isn't multiple Man in Blacks for this list. This is only a single Man in Black for all of them. So, let's take a look at the Man in Black objectively from, oh, good track, from K2. Because this is obviously the K2 version. There is the OG2 version coming up, don't worry. But this is the K2 version. So the Man in Black turns up multiple times. You fight him 3 times in the first set piece, one of which you just stab him with a sword. Second time you just stab him with a sword. The third time you actually use the gas canister and then use the sword on him. Then use the sword and then use the gas canister on him after that, which you can mess up as you saw with the run before this one. So you then get the Man in Black fight at the truck, which we mainly use the saw for. So the Man in Black here's a weapon-based one. He has a little bit of uniqueness with the gas cylinder, but not that much. So I would put the Man in Black at a B. I'd put him at a B. I think it's a solid one. I think he'd be a high B. Like, I think you could potentially tell him as a low A, but I think a high B is the one to do for this one. And again, I don't want to stay on too many considering how many we got. And we're now going to the Majima Saga, which there are 2 bosses in the Majima Saga. I can't remember his name. It's the young lad who it turns out to be helping Ibuchi. This guy's going to be a low B because he is literally spin to win. He doesn't have that much. He doesn't have any unique boss music that hypes you up for the fight. You just go into the fight. You spin a bit. Sometimes you use a heat attack because obviously you want to reposition him in the fight. But he's a really easy fight. You just spin a lot. Which brings us to this motherfucker. Hello, Ibuchi. Fine, you're a low A. So Ibuchi has 1, a really cool boss intro, 2, good boss music, and 3, actually better strats than just spin to win. At points, you want to actually use heat attacks to obviously reposition him, but also to get him to certain HP values to try and get him down into his next phase at the right time. But the thing that makes Ibuchi a low A is the fact that he actually has a good bit of uniqueness to his fight. He has a counter that can counter anything you throw at him. He has one of the best counters in the series, which in the speedrun sense, yeah, that's not great, because it just counters everything we do, and he's a frustrating piece of shit. But in terms of the speedrun, he's actually a bit more of a unique fight, and for the Majima saga, he is a very unique fight. He is a very good fight. He's one of those fights that I think shines in the game, despite the fact that obviously in Majima Saga you don't have that many skills on Majima, and the spin is so grossly overpowered that that's all you want to obviously do. So that's why I think Ibuchi is a low A, and why I think the poor young lad here only gets a middling B, if not a low B at most. Now we move on to Yakuza 3. We're going to move on to Majima. Yes, we're going to Yakuza 3. Don't worry, we'll go to the others later. Don't worry about it. Its list is positioned weirdly. Yakuza 3 Majima in Chapter 1. It's a good fight. It's a high B, because it's a real pain in the fucking ass. So for the speedrun, we have essentially a couple of strats you can use against him. You can grab him and you get a free combo. But the problem is, getting past Majima's Feel the Heat is so fucking hard. Like, it's one of the hardest things you'll do in any Yakuza run. And the problem is, we don't have actual legit strats to enable us to get there in a nice, safe manner. Majima is a hard fight. Majima is a very hard fight, and he's very frustrating. So I feel for the speedrun, I feel like he's a high B. I think he's like straddling the line towards an A just because, you know, he's a legit fight. But he only has like 1 HP bar. He doesn't have like unique music here. It's kind of just a tutorial kind of boss fight in a sense. God. Meta, thank you for the raid. You're just in time to witness this chaos. This really weird list that started off with Man in Black from K2 for some reason. I don't know how that works, but it does work like that, apparently. Let me have a good stream tonight. But that's Majima. I think that Majima Yakuza 3, I think he straddles the line on being an A. I think he's, like, close to it. But I think he's a B, just because of the fact that we don't have, obviously, proper actual strats to be able to easily get him past the Feel the Heat without triggering it. If we had that, I would say he's a low A. OG1 final boss, by the way. Very nice. Next up, Rikia. PB and Yakuza 4? Yo, nice. Was that on Legend or was that on Easy? Rikia is an interesting one. So Rikia is one of the first fights where we start using the infinite strat. So if you haven't seen the Yakuza 3 speedrun, we have an almost infinite combo, but it requires timing and precision, which is actually really nice. Rikia, I'm really struggling between the high B and the low A, because with the Rikia fight, there's that little added thing of if you can grab him and push him in the corner early on, and get him towards the side of the signs of the furniture, you can really burn his HP quite easily. This is also a fight where if you mess up a couple of times, you can actually quite easily salvage that. But I'm going to put him as a high B. Reason being, high B please, because of the guy afterwards. Legend, yo, congrats, nice. Reason being is that I'm going to take Tamashiro and put him as a low A. So Tamashiro is kind of similar to Rikia, but Tamashiro, as you know from Yakuza 3, is kind of the first wall of the game. In the speedrun, it's also the same. He has 2 HP bars, but you can avoid his Feel the Heat. Now, it's the same strats with, obviously, keeping him in a certain corner and trying to constantly, you know, keep him going and keep him, like, messed up and busy. It's really hard to do, especially at first. There is a genuine timing aspect of it. I like this fight a lot. I think that this fight is actually a really good test of skill in Yakuza 3 Speedrun, and I think it's one of those that's very, very satisfying if you can pull it off. There are a few frustrations to it because it is very easy for him to break out of that. If you let him stand up, he can break out of that, and then your life is going to get worse. You can let him get up once, and then things get bad. So you have a little bit of leeway with Tamashiro. That's why I think Tamashiro gets the A, because I think that Tamashiro as a fight offers more in the speedrun than Rikia does. Just a little bit more, just due to the extra HP and due to the fact that you have to be a little bit more on point with your strats, and also do like certain corners to make it easier to do those strats. Rikia's fight ends just a little too fast, but it's still a good fight. So, funnily enough, the next fight is Hasebe. Hasebe is the first enemy that it's going to go into... Actually, no, he's not. He'll go into a low B. Because here's the thing. Hasebe is a gun, but Hasebe also has ads. So you have to be careful with Hasebe. Because the fight is usually pretty easy. Take care of the ads, then take care of Hasebe with a revolver. There is a little bit of tech to that. There is a little bit of trying to, you know, get multiple enemies together to try and hit them all with combos together. But it does come down to the fact that you revolver Hasebe. But the ads are the thing that make the difference between just making him a gun-designated boss fight and something that actually requires you to do a little bit extra on top of that. Speaking of, low B for you, Mr. Andre Ricardson. Heck you. Andre Ricardson 1. This is in the alleyway when heading towards the Millennium Tower. So, this is where we use a shotgun for the first time. And the problem with Ricardson, and the reason why I'm putting him as a low B, is because of the fact that Yakuza 3 can actually slightly glitch out when using a shotgun in that fight. Where Kiryu will be looking forward, and you can tell Kiryu to be looking forward, you'll shoot with Kiryu, and he'll fire fucking that way. Because, of course he will. Thanks for that. So, Ricardson does use guns, yes, but you can very, very, very easily mess it up, and you still need to do a little bit of work on top of that. There's also the ads in the fight as well, and if you let Ricardson get up, he's actually a real pain in the ass. He's actually really nasty. So, that's the reason why this guy doesn't just go into gun, is because he has ads that are a pain, and he himself is a pain as well. Again, this is the speedrun rules, not casual. If this was casual, this would be a different list, because again, I think this guy is a good fight casually. It'd probably be an A tier if this was casual, but in terms of the speedrun, he does enough to differentiate himself from just gun category, unlike a later Hardson. And just in this one, you just need to do a bit more. Commander. The pain in the ass. There's a very quick way to do Candor, and it's a fucking ball ache. Candor as a fight, we use another one of our shotguns, but we do way more than that to differentiate it from a gun placement. We have to do enough damage to him in the first phase to get him into that second phase to just take him out completely with the gun, so you can skip a second phase. It's actually hard. It is genuinely hard. There is a really nasty second QT that can happen. And if that happens, you lose so much time. So, Kanda deserves getting put into a placement other than just gun, because we do more than just gun. If you can get him into the corner with the furniture, you can deal so much damage to begin with. But Kanda at one point gets an insane amount of hyper armor and just doesn't care and can just knock you out of your combo, which really sucks. Kanda is either a low A or a high B, and I don't know which one it is. Kanda is a good fight. Like, if I'm looking at this list, I would probably say that Kanda is a low A, because Majima is going to be a high B. This is Majima 2. This is the one in the Colosseum. If I could put you above Rikia, that would be nice. Good. Majima 2 is also more than just gun. Here's gun, you use your shotgun, you refill it for the fight. You need to get Essence of Finishing for the fight and do it correctly. Yakuza 3 is a bit finicky when it comes to its heat moves, and you must be holding forward, otherwise you won't do the heat move, and you'll fuck it up. So, it's satisfying to do the fight, but if you do it incorrectly, that's a pain. So it's a very quick and easy fight. You do have to do a little bit of damage as well before you do shotguns, so bounce him in the back, don't let him get into, obviously, mad dash phase, and then don't let him get back into that again. So there's a lot of management involved in the fight. It's not a simple gunfight. It is a nice and easy, you know, just, you have to do the fight correctly. So we'll see. It does have some of the spin-offs, yes. It does not have Kaito files. It does have Fist of the North. The only things it doesn't have is Kenzan and Kaito. So we'll sum those up at the end. We're going to take a little bit of a detour here, because for some reason, here's Dr. Kirihito from Yakuza 0. You get to bottom tier, you piece of fucking shit. Ruiner of speedruns, the second of the 3 Coliseum fights. Spoilers, they're all going in here. Dr. Kirihito absolutely sucks. He has a bladed weapon. He has an EX mode. It's actually not too bad. If I'm being honest, he's a high C. If you take him wrong, he can just mess up your fight. He can just mess up your speedrun. I hate the Coliseum fights in 0. Even with the new gun route, I still hate the Coliseum fights in 0. They're still a pain in the ass. Fuck Dr. Kirihito. He gets in the C tier. Back to Yakuza 3. Gun. Yeah, gun. Lao Kalong, I think, is our first gun. You do have to do a tiny bit extra with Lao Kalong, but it is essentially just one extra heat move. So, Lao Kalong gets the gun, I think. I think Lao Kalong is our first gun. Like, you essentially just use an entire revolver on the guy. I think he's our first gun. Speaking of our second gun, Beautiful Eyes, get in our gun tier. Or you'd, again, to differentiate, you use 2 guns. So you use 1 gun with like 4, is it 3? No, 3 shots, and then the whole amount of another gun. It's still guns. Speaking of guns, satisfying guns, fucking Tamashiro used 1 gun, that's it. Get the fuck out of my speedrun. Reconnaissance 2, that's a gun. That's all that is a gun. You just go into the hospital room and you shoot him with 2 revolvers. But Reconnaissance 3, and this is where things get fun, because Reconnaissance 3 is a very different beast, because not only is there the Reconnaissance 3 fight, which is technically just gun, but you have to do setup. Can I just say, this track is amazing. I love the remix of it as well. This is 2's ending, OG 2's ending, which we'll get to soon. So, Reconnaissance. You have to do the fight beforehand. There's the 4 guys in the lobby. You have to get their guns, throw them to the other side of the room to set up for the fight. Then you use their guns, and you must make sure you throw your guns into Reconnaissance. This makes it so that Reconnaissance is not just gun. Because yes, you do use guns, but you have to get, and this is the thing about Yakuza 3's finale, you have to do specific shots to not run out of ammo, and this fight is so very important for that. So that's what brings Reconnaissance out of gun tier into what I would call, I'd say mid. I would say a mid B. I'd say a mid B. I think he's our first mid B. Maybe not true mid, but he's a mid B, that man. I think that he requires a little bit of skill and a little bit of patience. Now, unfortunately, Mine is gone. If you have done everything correctly up until this point, gone. Simple as that. Like, Mine just gets the gun. He gets 2 different revolvers. 1 with 7 shots, 1 with a full amount. That's it. It's literally that simple. So, Mine gets the gun. And that's Yakuza 3. So, we move on to Yakuza 4. We start with the fuck himself, Ihara. Oof. Ihara. My god. So, Ihara, at the very start of the game, the very first chapter, Akiyama's first boss, does not have baseball bats. Congratulations, Ihara, you get a placement on the list. Ihara is frustrating because he can ruin your speedrun quite early on, but we actually have good strats against Ihara. Also, the fight theme against Ihara is pretty good. The Ihara fight doesn't last too long. Yeah, you table. It's simple. It's not the hardest of fights, but it's one of those that does go down quite badly if you mess it up. So Ihara for me is a high B. I think he'd be above the Man in Black. I think he's a high B. I think that you do enough in that fight that makes it a solid fight. I would even put him maybe like near the top of the high Bs, because like in terms of speedrunning stuff, he has good strats. We have good strats to take care of him in a nice quick fashion where he doesn't get to do the feel the heat, and it's become a lot more consecutive thanks to, obviously, all of the routing that's done. So, I think that Ihara is actually a very solid B. I think that he's a very, very good one. He's a good fight, and he's the precursor to Hell. Speaking of, I believe this is Midoriya Kawa, the chainsaw guy. So, this is technically a free-phase fight. You have first Midoriya Kawa, which is a combo with Akiyama, so already out of the gun phase. Then you have ads, which those require a good amount of positioning to try and get multiple hits. So already you're doing more than just shoot him. But the thing is, you want to intentionally leave... Actually, no, you baseball bat now. No, you baseball bat now. This man is the very definition of gun/baseball bat. What the fuck am I talking about? He's going in gun/baseball bat. He is the top tier because he is gun and baseball bat. He wins both. Yeah. He is the definition of both. Is Ibuchi an A tier? Because this little shit down here is a worse version of that fight. He's a worse version of that fight, trust me. So, unfortunately, Minami is now also a baseball bat, so in you go. Oh dear. Yakuza 4 is going to go very, very similarly, I'm afraid. Now, Saito. This is Saito 1, because you can see Saito 2 down here. Where's that puncher here? Saito 1. This is Psyjima pre-baseball bats. So, already this is good. Now, this is Saito for the entire prison. There's no multiple Saitos for the prison. So, you're talking Saito at the beginning, Saito in the second part, where you have to do the QT correctly, and then you have Saito at the very end. I think all versions of those Saito fights in the speedrun actually really varied, and the thing is, with Saito 1, we intentionally go after one of the ads first to get, obviously, the level up to get triple finisher. This is something that we use on Saito, and Saito can be a pain, but usually you can just deal with Saito quite quickly. Saito 2 after the QTE, that's an interesting one, because that one has a very long feel the heat in it. You can easily avoid it, provided you do the fight well, and you can be very brave in that fight, and you can let him get up on his feet and do another triple combo, or keep him down on the ground with Saijima's single, light, strong, almost infinite. I think that Saito here, this is going to be controversial. I think Saito 1 is a low A. I think he's a low A, because all three of his phases are reasonably different. The last guy, you want to get, obviously, the gun from the ads and start shooting. Like, I think that Saito gets an A due to how varied all three of his phases are. Maybe that's controversial. I think it is. It could be a high B, but I think he has enough differences in the speedrun that he deserves that spot. It's a very low A, but he's there, I think. Anyway, hey, Dead Puncher, fuck off the C tier, thanks, bye. Dead Puncher, ugh. Dead Puncher's become a lot more manageable with Shotgun Round, which is really nice. But Dead Puncher still sucks ass. Dead Puncher can still ruin your run. I hate Dead Puncher. I said this already. Every single Coliseum fight in Zero is going into fucking C tier. They are easily the worst fights in Zero. They are terrible. Even with Old Route, even with Shotgun Route, they're all fucking terrible. They get to stay there. Dead Puncher doesn't have a weapon. He's the only one of the Coliseum fights that doesn't have a weapon. But he has mass hyper armor, and he has an EX phase. And it's, again, more manageable with the new route, which is nice. But even with the new route, if you fuck up and you let him do stuff, he's gonna fuck you up. Fuck you, Dead Puncher. If I was being objective, he would probably be a B. But I'm not being objective. I hate Dead Puncher. He has ruined my runs enough. Free Kiryu. Free Kiryu. This is controversial. He's going in the S tier. He's going in the low S tier. Because for the speedrun, you get good build-up, because there's an unskippable fight cutscene, which is not a long one. It's a good one. You then have the fight with Psyjima. Now, you would think that you just do Saijima's infinite to keep him down the ground. Doesn't quite work like that. He could be a high A as well. The more I think about it. But Curio is one of the fights in Yakuza 3 that you do not want to fuck up. If you fuck up and let Kiryu get into his red heat mode, goodbye. Just good luck. You're gonna get hit with QTs, you're gonna get hit with combos, so you have to play well at this fight to make sure this fight doesn't fuck you over. This is why, for me, the hype of this fight, as well as obviously the things that we do in the speedrun, make this fight an S tier. Because you have to actually use proper strats, proper combos, and make it so that he stays down. So, I think the fact that, like, I think he's a low S tier. I think he's like a low S tier, high A tier for, like, the speedrun fights. But I think he does enough that we have good strats against him, but you have to pull off those strats. Like, it's a difficult fight, and that's what also elevates it. Like, it is a potential run-ending fight. If you fuck it up, you can lose 20 to 30 seconds. It is a very hard fight. It is one of those that you have to be careful with, and I think that earns the S tier over the A tier. I think that just pushes it over. And Ivan Ibrahimovic. Yeah, B tier. Yeah, mid-B tier. Hey, the mid-B tier. Like, Ivan's another one of those you don't want to let get up. If Ivan gets up, he does, you know, a very quick heat combo against you, and it's a lot harder to get him back on the ground, but it is easy to get him back on the ground with a throw. Ivan's Ivan. You do your normal combos into essence finishing. I think Ivan's alright. Unfortunately, Ivan is the last point before baseball bats. Once again, Minami, get your ass into baseball bats here. The difference between this is that there's a lot of ads in the fights before, but again, it's all baseball bat. At this point, Saijima bought baseball bats. And unfortunately, Yakuza 4 Majima is also baseball bat. So, we've got ourselves a Majima fight in the gun/baseball bats here, which is a shame. Like, it's literally just baseball bat. That's all there is, and it sucks. It's a massive shame. It's a genuine shame, because the fight before used to be just sledgehammers, so this could have been called gun/sledgehammer tier, but it is now just gun/baseball bat. It is a massive shame. Sugiyuchi, I used to love your fight with the Tom for so much, but once again, you're now baseball bat. Get the fuck in there. Saito 2. This gets the high A tier. Yes, this gets the high A tier. Ibuchi's theme, by the way. Knocking off Ibuchi. This... Ooh. So, you have two different fights for Saito 2. You have the one at the very start with Kiryu, where we learn double finishing, so you have to take care of the ads to get double finishing, and then you start taking them out. That's a frustrating fight. That is a fight where Saito can actually easily guard against you if you use the wrong combos, like I do very often. And essentially you have to get him into a corner and do the correct combos. You can kind of replicate the combos that you do in Yakuza 3, not to the same respects, but enough. Now the interesting thing, and the reason why I put him at a high A tier, is the second part. You grab a gun on the way down and you shoot Saito on the stairs, but here's the beautiful thing. When the gun is done, you throw the gun at him, and you get him on the ground on the stairs. This allows you to pull off an infinite combo against him because of the elevation of the fight. This is such a unique thing for any fight in any Yakuza boss. If you have elevation and you are below the enemy, you can keep comboing them. And Saito is just the perfect fight for that. You will just keep comboing and doing full combos, and he can't do anything. It is so satisfying to pull off. It is such a good strat that it makes it a high A, if not possibly low S tier fight. Because that strat is so good, and it works really well. And then we get to a fight that really should have been placed as a B, high B, low A tier. But unfortunately, once again, the boys are baseball bats. The boys have become baseball bats. Which actually makes the fight a lot easier, ironically enough. But they are now baseball bats. Araya's become baseball bats. F-tier one of the bats. I'm not gonna actually like go against that, considering how awful that fight can be without baseball bats. The amount of hassle that just one of them gives you, let alone both of them in the speedrun, in the old route, the 50-50 route, you have to hope, and it's the stupidest thing, you have to hope to get one of them stuck behind a pillar so you can focus full combos on the other one, just to have a chance of skipping the field of heat because the other one doesn't kick you in the back. God, that fight sucks. Never do it again. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's terrible. The baseball bats at the very least make that fight a lot more manageable, which is the ironic thing of having gun/baseball bats, is because this tier with the gun baseball bats makes a lot of these fights a lot more manageable. Like, old buddy Fuma Oyabun brother might be in here as a gunfight. That doesn't mean it's not satisfying as a gunfight. Like, we don't have to deal with his big, long, mid-fight QT bullshit. We just get him to finish the fight. Like, it's actually kind of nice in terms of that. Unfortunately, our... Why are you here? For our final 3, and then 1, Yakuza 4 boss fights, they're mostly baseball bats now, and that sucks. Arai used to have very good strats. Very good strats. We used to basically make it so that Arai... We did a whole bunch of inventory management. But Chinese broadsword and Akiyama. Do like a full combo with Akiyama. Or like certain heat moves with Akiyama. Then do like a full heat move behind him. Then do like, obviously, like sword heat move. And then do sword attacks to finish him off without seeing the field of heat. Now there's a little bit of finick to it in that you have to bounce Arai off of the back wall with a baseball bat. It's a baseball bat fight. It's just a baseball bat fight. Keto, balls fucking out. Get baseball batted. You do a little bit. I'll put Keto a little bit up on the baseball bat fights because Keto, you do have to make sure you have the right heat for the right moments to skip through his heal phases. But Keto is a baseball bat fight. And Daigo is as well, and he gets the very low end of the baseball bat fight because fucking hell. Of all the fights that got worse with baseball bat route for 4, it's Daigo. Because Daigo has a mid-fight QTE that was already hard enough to avoid with gun route. But with baseball bat route, it's damn near impossible sometimes. And that's a minute time loss if you get the first one. If you get the second one, you've lost your run completely. You pretty much lost your run if you get the first one anyway. So, unfortunately, Daigo gets the low end of this because fuck that Daigo fight. I don't know if this is... I think this is the prison. I think this is prison Nishtani. I'm gonna... Because they're out of place for some reason. We'll leave Nishtani here until we see another Nishtani in case there is a second one. So, back to the end of Yakuza 4, which, again, it's a baseball bat fight. Hilariously, this fight has gotten so much more nicer with the baseball bats. So, this actually gets to go actually a lot higher up in the list, to be honest. But it's a baseball bat fight. It's, you know, you have to deal with a lot of ads, but thankfully it is now a lot more manageable, which is good. Okay, no, the trouble is no, because we haven't seen the early Yakuza 0 bosses. Shibusawa's like down here, and I'm fairly certain there's Kuze here. That's out of place. So the 0 bosses are out of place. So we'll keep him there for now. So now we get to Yakuza 5, and why is this guy a boss? This is just one of the random 2 thugs in Bar Olivia at the start of Kiryu's part in Yakuza 5. You hit him with a chair twice, or the other guy. You get the fucking C tier, my dude. You get the C for seat your ass down. Full of fucking wit. Morinaga Aizawa. Ugh. Low B. Fight has to feel the heat. That's true. That's true. Morinaga Aizawa get a low B tier because fuck the both of them. Actually, mid them. Mid them because the fight has improved. Below the Man in Black. Mid because the fight has improved. So, what we do now is we Dragon Spirit Morinaga, but you have to do it at the right time. You need him to attack you so that he drops his guard so you can get the full combo off. If you don't, you have to do a little bit of extra work. So there is work to be done in this fight now, but it is also just Chug Tarana, hit Aizawa with a bench, Chug Tarana, hit Aizawa with a bench, Chug Tarana, say goodbye to Aizawa until the end of the game. So, it doesn't get much more than a B, but there is more that we do with that fight now. And the strats are still good, because that fight is normally a kind of hard fight. Like, having the both of them on you is a pain in the ass. But the strats are good, the strats are solid, and you have to do a little more than just, you know, just to hit them with heat attacks now. So, I think they get a mid-B. I think they're a solid fight. I think they're the very definition of just, you know, it's a bog standard average fight. It's pretty good. You know, it's not bad, it's not great. Round 1, huh? Round 1, huh? God. So, This fight, I kind of want to put it as a high B. I've forgotten his name, sadly. It's Ihara, of course it's Ihara. So, Ihara 1. This is the first fight we use Bounding Throw. Bounding Throw is Kiryu's fight tech in Yakuza 5. It is very good, but it requires very precise timing. Ihara's the first fight you use it on. There's also a vase in the fight that you also want to hopefully use for a little bit of extra damage and, of course, essence of finishing. Ihara 1 has a good solid bit of tech, but Ihara 1 is also one of those fights that can go very awry with the incorrect timing. I think that Ihara, at least 1, deserves an A. I don't know where in the A ranking? Probably above Ibuchi. I think he deserves a high A. It's a good fight. It's a solid fight, speedrun-wise. Tech's down, tech's good. It's a rough one. It's a very rough one. I think he gets a high A. I think we do a lot in that fight. Ihara 2 is a QTE. It's a one-hit kill QTE. So it's an S tier. It's the best fight in the game. Kugihara. Kugihara gets either low A, high B. It's Kugihara. Wait, it's actually both Kugiharas. Oh, it's both. Oh, that might make him a low A. Because if that's both, that also includes the prison fight. Because the prison fight is technically a part of it. So, Kugihara A, or Kugihara 1, you level up with Saijima first there, after the first painful prison section. You grab the guy, slam him into the ground, do a heat attack. It's actually pretty cool. Nice Yakuza final boss theme. Love this theme. So, Kugihara you absolutely body in the first part. Second Kugihara is obviously part of the set piece that has all the enemies beforehand, where you want to try and get a couple of weapons, and obviously you want to try and like defeat the enemies close to the door, so you can be down there when the text ends, and you can get there for the next fight. Then you have a fight before, obviously Kugihara 2, and then obviously after that you get the Kugihara 2 fight, which you need a little bit more effort in that one than Kugihara 1, but it's essentially the same thing as Kugihara 1, and then you want to pick him up, smack him to the ground, and then do either a pipe heat move or obviously your X finishing. Then you obviously want to make it so that you can get him down again. So you actually have to do a fair bit with Kugihara 2 than you do with Kugihara 1. I like the fight. I think it's decent. It is a low A or a high B if you consider both parts together. It's actually a hard one for me. I think he gets the highest of B's. I think he's like very close on the edge. Go there, thank you. I think he's very close on the edge to an A. Like he's very good, and the speed tech we have for him is good. I actually think he might be a low A. You know what? He's a low A. No, we're putting him as a low A. I think he's got good tech. Speaking of low A, here's the bear. It's a unique fight. It's a bloody good fight at that. You level Psyjima specifically to get stability so that you don't get knocked on your ass in that fight. You have to time your combos right to be able to get through the bear's attacks themselves with your hyper armor. This is a fight where you have to do a lot in it, and it is one of the most unique fights and most fun fights in the game. Like, it's a good fight. It's a bit of a meme. It could be a high B. I just think it's a low A just because of the fact that it's a very unique fight. The speed tech for the fight and the combos is very good. I think it's just a very good fight. Bear to A. Bear should be B, but Bear is an A. Bear has A in the name. Baba is here. This is Baba 1. Baba, the final has his own... Actually, all of the Babas are separate. So this is Baba 1. This is the one at the end of Saijima's part. I think Baba at the end of Saijima's part deserves himself a low A. So, maybe even a mid. So, Baba has a whole bunch of things that you can do in that fight. Painty, thank you very much for the 31 months at tier 2.
Time really flies fast. Huh.
Yeah, it does. Wow. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. So, Baba, we use sometimes I probably shouldn't use them anymore, but we use, or at least I use, the two-handed motorcycles, which we use a little bit in an earlier part to build up their damage ahead of time so that you can use them against him. It's good damage, even though most of Yakuza 5's weapon damage is terrible. And then you have the fight against Baba where you have to try and make it so that he doesn't just knock into your combos. But Baba is frustrating, because Baba has a bit of a nasty counter where he'll grab you, and if you are holding onto one of the bikes, you'll drop it. Baba can be frustrating in the speedrun, so I think that's why I might put him as a low A, maybe high B. I think he could go in either one. I think the Baba one is an A. I think you do enough in that fight, and it's different enough to the rest of them that I think it deserves that, at least. Okay, fucking the guy in Akiyama's Sky Finance. Is this both times? It's the first time. They're separate. Are you joshing me right now? Alright, this fuckhead. You grab a cart and you hit him with it. Now, you do have to hit everybody else with it as well, so it's kind of cool, but you grab the cart, spin the cart, use a heat move, and if done correctly, that's the end of the fight. I don't know, fucking get into this high C tier, my dude, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Ogita gets on the low B tier. Low to mid. Low to mid B tier for Ogita. We buy a bunch of weapons with Akiyama, a bunch of blackjacks, and we do a combo of blackjacks. We do a heat attack, then the combo of blackjacks keep him on the ground, Tarana, rinse, repeat. So the strats are good, but the strats are simple. But the strats are good. So it's there. It's there, you know. It's just a fight, which is kind of the same for Sarah. Can I? Can I 1? So Can I 1 follows up, but the thing you want to do with Can I 1 is that yeah, Can I hope you're counting Ishin Can I in that as well. Can I 1 is you actually start with a normal combo first, and then you go into the blackjack stuff. So I think he gets just slightly higher billing than Ogita due to the fact that you start with a combo. It's not a hard fight. It's a decent fight. It's solid. Yeah, it's just is as is. He's back. Get into C tier, my dude. It's the exact same fucking fight. I kid you not. It's the exact same fucking fight twice in a row. Get your ass into C tier. Can I too? Jesus Christ. Get your ass into a low B as well. Holy fuck. It's not the same, but it's almost the same. There's just a bit more cutesy he's in the fight. God damn. Teppei! Oh no! So Teppei Ono has strats. I'm actually putting Teppei Ono as a high B tier. I shit you not. Teppei Ono has good strats to this fight. Teppei Ono used to be a very, very frustrating fight for Shinada. But Tap found, I can't remember if it was Tap or it was Meta, somebody found some really good strats for Teppei Ono, where you use the actual weapons that are in the fight to do damage and a combo on top of that. Like, Teppei Ono, you use the pipe heat action that you've got with Shinada, you use weapons in the fight. Teppei Ono is actually a very good fight, and speed-wise, it's actually really good. It's very well managed. I'm considering putting him in a low A. Somebody please fucking stop me. God damn it, Teppei Ono. Too late, I'm doing it. Teppei Ono, you get a low-ass A somehow. I don't fucking know how. I'm losing control. Shinada's friend from back in school, our construction guy fella. This is... It's the first of the fights where you really use Shinada's combat against bosses. So, it's essentially a rip-off. It's essentially the same as Nishitani strats in when the boss is getting up, you want to get out Shinada's weapon and use the heat attack. But during every single one of those, you want to bait out attacks by either dodging or by punching once and then dodging to get behind our friend here. Yeah, Sakai, that's the one. To get behind Sakai here, because at that point, Sakai has his back completely open to you and you can get a free combo off. This is actually a good fight. If Teppei only gets a low A, I feel like he gets a low A or a high B. Because you do need to use a bit of skill. You do need good timing. But it's one of those fights that, if done correctly, is very satisfying and is very, very quick. The speed strats for this one are actually pretty decent. So I'm going to put him as a high B. Above bloody Ihara. The chef. Manabe. The chef. What can be said? It's essentially the same kind of fight, but longer. And there's a QT in it. It's the same fight. It goes in a B tier. Ah, yes. The Daigo versus Shinada fight. This is going in the mid-A tier, folks, because the speed strats get above Baba. Actually, get between Baba and Tepe, I think. With the Daigo fight, it's a very easy fight, but that's because the strats for the fight are very, very good. So, the music's fantastic, the build-up's fantastic, that adds into it. The strat is basically to build your heat up, hit him with a heat attack, then go into his taunt phase for a free combo, get him on the ground, another heat attack, job's done. It's a very, very simple fight. It's an exceptionally simple fight, but you still need to do it correctly. You still need to do it correctly, and it's a good fight. It's a very good fight. Like, everything about the fight works really well. Like, I actually really like the fight a lot. I kind of want to put it a bit higher. Like, but I think A tier is good for it. I think that Daigo fight is a very good fight. Casually, it's one of my favorite in the series. Now, I'd probably put it as an S tier, but speedrun-wise, I'd put it an A tier. Baba 2. Baba is B for Baba is bounding throw. Yeah. Baba gets bounding throwed in this fight. You can use your red heat in this fight. Sometimes I do. I think I actually do these days. So that makes it kind of cool. But the red heat move does 1 HP bars worth of damage. He's bounding throw Baba. That's the fight. Psyjima Aizawa, right? Yeah, Psyjima Aizawa. Bit average. It's not awful. It's just average. Like, there's nothing bad about the fight. It's just average. Like, you just do the usual Saijima stuff. It doesn't last too long. You can bully Aizawa, which is a good thing. And I think it's a high B tier. I think it just goes up here. Like, it's not quite worthy of an A because you do more stuff in like every other fight here. But you know, it's a solid fight. It's got good combos. It's got good tech. It's just solid. It's just a B tier fight, you know? Watase. I love Watase. That is going to cloud my judgment. He is also a bounding throw lad. He has an EX mode, unlike Baba. That makes him a little bit harder. It's a little bit riskier to do this fight, so I think he gets the highest of Bs, which is a shame because I want to put him as an A. Oh god, I don't know which Kuzo this is. Katsuya's kind of the same. Katsuya's kind of the same. Like, you just body with Saijima. But again, the nice thing is you'd think Katsuya would be faster than he is, but he's actually not. So, in Katsuya, you do a lot of grabbing him and throwing him to the ground. It's kind of like the Watase fight. You know, they're there. They're kind of mid-fights. They're good fights. They're not bad fights in the speedrun. They're just there. You can mess them up. Kiryu in the speedrun. No. That gets the lowest tier because fuck no. Here's the thing. You fight Kiryu there in the speedrun. He has the Tiger Drop. We don't do it. We literally don't do it. Honestly, we should probably put him in the can't remember / not enough knowledge. We have enough knowledge. He Tiger Drops us. No, he stays there. What we do instead is we pick Kiryu against Psyjima. And this is a good fight. This is another bounding throw fight. So I would say, again, it's probably a high B tier. Well, you can actually get him into place. I think he's a high B tier. I think he's a good fight. Maybe even a low A. Maybe even a low A, honestly. It's a good fight. This is not final. Kanai's over here. This is the one in the final set piece. He's honestly just there. You pick between Kiryu or Akiyama. We pick Kiryu. He doesn't have that much HP. He gets bounding throwed. He's a low B. He's a low B. I don't know what else to say. It's kind of... Tyro's the scary part. That's true, yeah. The multiple heat actions. That's the scary part. Man does not have a limit on how many times you can slam your face in. But yeah, nah, can I free? Can I free gets a low beta? Like, very low B tier. Finale Majima. E. It's either low A, high B. Because we got good tech for the first part of the fight and the last part of the fight. But fuck Doppelganger phase. Doppelganger phase is a pain in the ass. But I still think it's a good fight. It's got a good intro. It's got good music. It's a very satisfying fight to do if you can do it correctly. Boy, it's a hard fight. That Doppelganger phase can fuck you real bad. I'm a catch flag for this. Final Baba is an S tier fight. Final Baba is probably one of the best S tier fights that we've had so far. Because Final Baba, we have the T-pose strat. And the T-pose strat the Mets came up with is fucking phenomenal. The T-pose strat basically makes it so that Baba T-poses against the wall, you get off a free combo, and you just finish the fight. It requires doing actual specific moves at specific points to do it. If you mess it up, it's easy to pull it back and just do, say, Shinada's red heat move if you still got it. It's a good fight. I actually think that Final Baba is a good fight. I think that Final Baba, with the actual tech that we use in that fight, thanks to Mets finding it, is an S tier. I think it's one of the best speedrun fights. If you can pull it off, it's so satisfying. It's so good. It's such a good fight. Yeah, story-wise, don't make a lick of sense. But T-pose Baba gets an S. Like, T-pose Baba gets an S. Final Kanai. Could you fuck off at this point? Fine, you get like a reasonably mid to... You get a mid B. You can go above Ivan, I guess. Just be mid B. You do heat moves with Akiyama with the black jacks and the red heat move, and that's the end of the fight. He's there. It's a weird final fight. So he wants more stick. S tier for Aizawa. S tier for fucking Aizawa. Because Aizawa is a bounding throw fight. It's a complete bounding throw fight, but my god, you have to be on point with those bounding throws. You fuck up at all, and that's the end of the run, and it's the final boss 6 hours in. Aizawa final fight requires you to do so many bounding throws, and even when you get to the right HP value and let the QTEs play out, he has a heal phase that can be completely interrupted with 3, would you believe it, bounding throws. Aizawa is an S tier fight because the speed tech that we have gets him to that final part. It's so satisfying to pull off, and you get to interrupt all of his healing. Aizawa's S tier. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, if this was casual, I would also have Final Aizawa's S tier. I think casually, this fight is phenomenal. I think story-wise, it's a bit... Why the fuck is it Aizawa? But gameplay-wise, this fight's insane. It's incredible. It's brilliant. It's phenomenal. It really is. Like, and the speedrun is also the same in that we have to do good bounding throws. You can get used to doing the bounding throws, but you make one mistake, and that's it. It is a good fight. It is a ridiculous fight at times. So I think that Aizawa gets that S tier. I think he deserves it. Now we get to Yakuza 6, baby! Yes, it started with Yakuza K2, don't ask. Yakuza 6, Nagamo 1, the tutorial. Fuck you. You're a pain in the ass. You had a B tier. You had a B. I don't fucking know. That's such a pain. Wait, is that Nagamo 1, 2, 3, and then 4? Yeah, that's Nagamo 1. Yeah, it's the tutorial fight. The tutorial has actually been really... optimized, thanks to Piascala. So, the actual tutorial part itself isn't too bad. You use EX to grab a bike, and then hit with a bike. It's actually pretty decent. I can't complain too much, even though it's a tutorial fight. But it's a tutorial fight. You can't finish the fight fast. You have to go through the tutorials. Even if the tutorials have been optimized quite nicely, the tutorial part knocks off a couple of points, I'm afraid. Otherwise, he would be a high B, low A. But There's plenty more times for Nagamo to come back. Akiyama. Oh, poor Akiyama. You are literally the definition of mid-tier. You go below Nagamo. We grab one of the tables in EX mode and use it twice. We don't even need it in EX mode. We just use the table twice. The definition of a literal mid-tier fight. Is it good strats? Yes. Is it over in 2 hits? Yes. Doesn't get a unique boss fight. Akiyama's one of only 3 or 4 bosses in Yakuza 6 you only fight once. Every other boss you fight 2 or 3 times. Or in Nagamo's case, 4. Speaking of Nagamo, it's time for Nagamo 2. The same place as Nagamo 1, almost the same fight as Nagamo 1, but you use 2 bikes instead. Therefore, you get a high B. You get a high B because you get to, you know, do a bit more. Simple as that. Simple as that. Nagamo 3, which also has Yuta 1 and Takashiro 1. Oh no, Matsunaga. The only time you fight Matsunaga. It's a decent fight. This fight used to be very frustrating in terms of the speedrun. It used to be quite hard to deal with. But essentially we discovered that the bin is good, and we always knew the running kick was good because that's the broken attack in that game. So good bits of optimization. We go grab the bin, don't get hit by a baseball from Nagamo, and then just hit everybody. It's the definition of almost a mid-tier fight, but with a bit more to do. You get to go above your other fight. Master Zoey 1. Lots of ads, a bike, and Master Zoe's face. The literal definition of a mid-tier fight. I will put that as a low beta. Probably not needs to be this low. Here's what it is. That's some Majima action. Ooh. Yuta 2, Takashiro 1, 2? I can't remember. Either way, again, mid-tier fight. Grab furniture, use furniture. It's still decent, you know. It's a good, nice and settled fight. It's not too hard. It probably goes around the rest of the Yakuza 6 bosses, to be honest. Master Zoey 2. A little bit of strats needed in Master Zoey 2, ironically enough. So you have to make sure you focus on Master Zoey first, so that he doesn't use his mid-fight QTE, which gets all the ads up. It's kind of the same with Master Zoey 1, but here it's a much more smaller fight. There's less ads. It's kind of a little same to this one, but there's no bike this time, so again, you get the mid-tier. There's not much about it. It's there. It's not a bad fight. It's not a great fight. Somia. Now we get into the good shit. Somia 1. You get yourself a low A tier. A low A tier because Somia 1 has quite a cool fight. We start with obviously going to heat mode. We use a bit of furniture whilst he's chugging a drink and is invulnerable. Use a bit more furniture. As long as you don't move, you can use the couch that's there, so that's actually kind of unique in that you don't actually want to move. You then go to the second phase. You, with the right timing, hit him with a plant and stuff. Satisfying fight, good intro, good music. I think for the speedrun, Somia 1, I think that's a low A. Probably a high B if I'm being a bit more objective, but I think that a low A for Somia 1 is good. Which, speak of the devil, Jungihan, he gets a low A as well. This is a unique fight in Yakuza 6 in that there's no fucking furniture. So, there's no weapons, it's a pure fist fight. Start with heat, go into the heat, and just demolish him. Actually, that's probably a bit too high. Yeah, I think that's a high B. I'm not sure whereabouts, probably around Mana Bay. Probably, yeah. It's whatever. It's, you know, you do still have to do work in this fight, but it is just going to EX mode. It's good strats. Like, no joke, it's good strats, but it is what it is. My boy Ed round 1. I want to be biased and put Ed in an A. Actually, it's Ed round 2. I'm to Ed round 1. Did we do Ed round? Was Ed round 1 in this tier list? Am I crazy? Anyway, this is Ed round 2. He's going as a high B, unfortunately. He has multiple phases, so Ed is kind of cool for multiple phases. We mainly use furniture. It's the ads at the end of the fight that kind of, like, make it into a reasonably high B to mid B. It should be a bit more into mid B, honestly. I think above the Majima fight. The problem with Ed 2 is those ads at the end. You have to do timing stuff with weapon attacks for, obviously, when Ed has invulnerability phases, but it's the ads at the end of the fight that are a big problem. So, because of those ads, that makes the Ed fight a little bit more unique. But there's a lot of furniture. It can either be a very frustrating fight or a very fun fight. It's just one of those things. But Ed 2 is probably the best of the Ed fights. I don't know why Ed 1 wasn't in this list. I can't even see him ahead, so that's awkward. So, oh well, Ed 1. I still like Ed 1, but, you know, that'd be a B tier as well if it was here. Hangman, I love you to bits. We hit you with a barrel 2 times. Get into low B tier. I'm sorry. I love Hangman. I really love Hangman. I guess actually this is the entirety of Hangman. So that also includes Saijima phase, which can go wrong. So, okay. Because this is both Hangman, it's the Hangman over the entirety of the Shangri-La chapter, you have to get to the final Hangman fast enough to have your attack buff on. So actually there is a little bit more to this because it involves the entire set piece. So instead of being low obscurity, you get to be kind of mid to high, I think. Mostly because you just need to do well at the rest of the set piece to get to the other Hangman as well. If it wasn't all the Hangman put together, I do think this would be a low B tier. Which is a shame because I love Hangman. I love Hangman to bits. Somia 2. There are more strats involved in this one. A bit more EX, using a little bit of weapon action as well. I think this gets a mid to high B. I think this is probably above the rest of the 6 fights so far. Outside of maybe Jungihan 1. But this is a fight that has a lot of variety to it, which is nice. You can go and grab one of the bottles if you mess up in this fight to be able to recover from it. I think it's a decent fight for a speedrun. I could probably place it a bit higher, but I think this is fine. Kushimasu 1. This is a fight that's undergone a lot of changes, but not ironically to the fight itself. You hit him with 2 bikes. So Kushimasu 1 is essentially in the low B tier next to Akiyama, I think. But the bike is the thing that changed, because we used to get a specific bike in the PS4 version, but with high FPS, the PC version, that bike doesn't work, which made us find a different bike, which is ironically faster. So, Kushimasu is B for bike. that's it. Jungihan 2, I love him, he's great. You hit him with a bench 6 times. B for bench. B for bench. Where did I just put Kushimasu? You're right next to him. B for bench. Good fight music. That's all you get. Jungihan 3. That's better. That is going to go low A. Multiple phases. You need to get to this fight fast. Multiple phases. And you also use multiple different things. You use the cone in the corner. You use an EX move. You do a running attack, etc. You can do a charge attack. There's a lot of things you can do in this Jungihan fight. I think this Jungihan fight deserves an A. I think this Jungihan fight is actually the best Jungihan fight out of the 3, even though I feel like this one is more unique because of no weapons. For the speedrun, which is what this is about, I think that this fight is a good fight. It's a long fight, but the strats are good. Strats are good, you can keep him down, and you still need to actually do enough in the fight to keep him down. So I think this fight gets a low A. I think this fight gets a very low A. I can't believe I put the bear in A tier. Ed 3. You hit him with a chair a couple of times. Ed, you're going with the rest of the bench and the bike, lads, and you're going over here, I'm afraid. The thing you get over Akiyama is it's a really cool fight because everything's on fire as you do. This is Kanai's theme. I don't like this. Help me. Yuta 3. You get hit with 2 phases, so you get to join the rest of the team up here in fiery bike hell. But it's a good fight. Cool intro. Very cool visuals. It's one of the prettiest fights, if you ask me, of the entire Yakuza series. But you just use a vase 2 times and smack him on the head. Or 3 times. Twice. And he goes with the rest of them. You all hit them with 2 weapons. Are you seeing Yakuza 6's pattern here? Because I am. Nagumo 4! go with the rest of your Nagamos, because I'd say it's between 3 and 1, because you do an EX attack, then you go to second phase and hit him with a bike. But it doesn't have a tutorial, so it beats out 1. But it's not as involved as 3, which also has Yuta and Matanabe. You know? You know? Hirose. Hirose, Hirose, Hirose. Controversial. He's a low S tier. He is actually a low S tier. So, he's either a low S tier or a high A tier. Reason being is that he's a long fight. He has multiple phases. His first phase, you want to get to it fast enough to still have the attack buff. So you are also factoring in the rest of the set piece and doing well at that. Thank God Kunai's finished. Thank God for that. I was getting scared. Oh God, Aizawa's here. The second phase is the QTE phase. This is ironically enough the first place where I found that my PC version of Yakuza 6 was bugged, so thanks, Hirose, I guess? I don't know. Then you get his next phase where you have to get him to bait out his QTE. If he doesn't do his last QTE, he doesn't actually end the fight. This can be a little frustrating, but essentially you do obviously your EX mode. You do a little bit of attacks, hopefully he does it early. If not, you just get down to 1 HP, let him do it, and then punch him afterwards. Hirose has one of the best counters in the series. It's not the best, but he can counter your shit. Little frustrating, but it requires you to be on your toes. You actually do a lot over the different phases of Hirose. I think that this is probably a high A rather than a low S. But I think with everything the fight does, the music, the intro, the cutscenes, the length, the different things you do in the phases, I think that Hirose for 6 deserves an S. Because there's not that many fights in Yakuza 6's speedrun that deserve an S, and Hirose is one of them. And so is Somia 3, who gets a mid-S. Because Somia 3 has a fantastic bit of speed tech in it. Somia 3 requires a very specific set of moves. Kiskala was the one who came up with these, and essentially you have to hit him with, like, I think we start with the charge attack, and then we hit him with the ice bucket a couple of times, do a heat move, and we want to get to his mid-fight QTE in our EX mode. If we can get that in our EX mode, you can actually fail a QTE and have half of the QTE cancel on itself. This is such a big thing. There's not that many fights in the Yakuza series that have a fucking speed tech skip in the middle of them, but Somia 3 is one of them. For that alone, Somia 3 deserves S tier. Somia 3 is also a very good fight because once you're done with that phase, you're still not done with the fight. You still have to deal with Somia in the final phase, use the rest of the ice bucket, use EX move to hopefully finish the fight. At this point in the game, everyone's blocking your EX moves at times, you have to do certain combos. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight, especially in the speedrun, and it has actual speed tech. Somia 3 deserves an S tier. Like, it really does. It really does. Like, I could put it a bit higher, I think, but Somia deserves S tier. Somia absolutely deserves S tier. Kashmizu is an interesting fight, because Kashmizu has a bunch of ads in the fight, but also you don't need to deal with them. And the other interesting thing is Kushimasu is the only fight in Yakuza 6 that is 2 phases. This, for me, immediately puts Kushimasu into A tier, but we're about to be A tier. Both of his phases are dramatically different. You have phase 1, where you try and get Kushimasu into phase 2 as quickly as possible, with like a running attack into an EX move. Then you have phase 2, with a well-timed charge attack. You can avoid his nice stab, going to an EX and get him down. This requires timing and precision. This is good. I feel like Kushimasu, because of his 2 phases, again, we're taking this from Yakuza 6, because of his 2 phases, it makes him a unique fight. I think that he is a mid-tier A. Above Teppei Ono. So, Somia, Iwami is either high B or low A, and I think it's going to be low A, because low A, this is a very fun, satisfying fight. you can do this fight very easily without getting hit at all. The actual combos that we use in this fight are satisfying. They keep Iwami down. It's not Iwami's. This is Iwami's theme. I was going to say, I know this build-up. This is actually Iwami's theme. Irony. Iwami has a good build-up. I would say, in terms of final boss fights in Yakuza speedruns, he's not up there with the best. He's not an S tier. He's definitely not. He's no T-pose batter. But the strats and the combos that we use against Iwami keep Iwami down completely. You can go into that fight with 1 HP, even without EX mode, and have no problems. You start with like a running attack to build up your heat, instantly EX him down to like half HP, QT down to 1 HP, and then you pop him at the end. Simple as that. Like, yeah, as Piscala says, like, I'm not surprised about that. Like, Iwami having no furniture's so good in 6. Like, it's something that we've said a lot, and it's not something that you... Look at the B tier list of furniture users. From Master Zoey all the way down to Akiyama. All of these Yakuza 6 bosses in a row are just because it's furniture use. Like, it's ironic that there's a lot of furniture usage in Yakuza 6, and it's a very good way of dealing with actual boss fights. Like, furniture and CC Lemon is disgusting. And that's the other thing. For Iwami, you should still have your CC Lemon still on, I think, at that point. So this is a banger of a theme. That also helps contribute to, I believe, the low A for Iwami. Iwami is a solid fight. Iwami's just a solid fight. It's got no furniture, so it makes it unique like Jungihan 1, but I think everything surrounding the fight builds it up to an A. You do a little more than you do with Jungihan, and it looks a little cooler as well. Hate to say it. This is interesting, because we now move into the turn-based realm. It is time for LAD. If you're wondering why the 0 characters haven't been used yet, they're in weird places, for some reason. Yoneda is after Lao Gui in the middle of the PSP games.
Guess who's going into C-tier obscurity?
So, we begin with Sawashiro 1. Sawashiro 1 is an interesting fight. It's a lot of usage of Tenacious Fist, but Sawashiro 1 actually requires a good bit of concentration to the fight. Not only because obviously you want to use perfect guards at the right time, but also because you obviously want to use the hardball. You don't want to fuck the hardball up. You obviously want to try and get a furniture use to try and end the fight a little earlier. If you get crits, you end the fight earlier. You don't want to have a stun come out in the first 2 hits. I think that Sawashiro 1 deserves a low A. I think he deserves a low A. I think he does deserve a low A. Genuinely. Like, I think he's a good fight. I think he's a very good fight. He's got a lot to him. I don't know why Zeng isn't part of this list when Zeng has multiple boss fights. This boss fight list is incomplete. Where is Zeng? Zeng should be next. Zeng would be a B tier. Same kind of fight, but the guy can fear you. Fuck you, Zeng. Where is Zeng? Where are the 3 guys at the end of Chapter 4? The 3 guys at the end of Chapter 4, Ida, Kasayama, and Kikagawa, I would honestly, for the speedrun, put them as a low A. Even with how much they infuriate me, I think that they would be a low A just because that fight can be so varied. It can fuck your speedrun, or it can be the thing that saves you a minute. Like, that fight is insanely stupid for so many reasons, and yet for the speedrun, the strats change depending on what happens in the fight. And I think that's a good indication of a very good fight, because you have to use your knowledge. You have to use your knowledge, and you have to go into the fight prepared. I think it's a good fight. I really do. So, honestly, I think that the 3 guys would be an A tier. Kume 1. Add phase into Kume. I think that's a good fight. Again, you have to react to depending on who is in the turn order at the time. Obviously, you need to use Gary in the first phase with Ichi. you obviously want to use Sparkling on Okino, Pyro on Okino, and then clean up with Adachi. Then phase 2 is whoever goes next to the turn order, depending on who ended the first phase. So, I think, and obviously Kume is weak to every attack in the game, I think there's a good balance in there. I think there's a good fight in there. I think it would be either a low A to high B. I think it'd probably be a high B if you look objectively at the bosses in LAD. It's a bit more of a whatever fight in terms of bosses, but I would still say it would be a high B for the speedrun. Same with this lad here, Takabe. I think he would be, I don't know where to put you compared to the action game list, Jesus Christ. He would be a high B. You use Robson. You use a Kiwami Drink on Eri to make sure she gets enough EXP, and then you just finish with Psycho. It's good strats, it's a quick fight, but not much happens. It's just, he exists. You know? He exists. Whatever. You know? I think that's fair enough. He's just there. He's just there. I'm gonna be right back real quick, because I think, yep, I hear my house alarm going off again. Fucking fire alarm. Give me 2 seconds. It wasn't turned off properly last time. Oh, my bad. Oh, hey, the young master. Neat. What ironic timing this is. How long does this music have left on it? An hour. Okay, so we do have like an hour left on the music, thank God. We have a lot to go. Oh my God. Hey, where were we? Jungihan 1. This gets the A tier. This gets the A tier because this is a hard fight. We have a method of obviously doing this fight in one combo, or 2 combos, really. But this fight can also be a real pain in the run. If Jungihan puts Adachi to sleep, that's going to cause you a time loss. So, honestly, I really like the Jungihan fight. I think the Jungihan fight is phenomenal. And even with the different route changes, we've still managed to keep it at that, obviously, 1 turn. The strats are good. Obviously, Dart Airstrike, Tag Team SMA, Hen, Sparking, into Paralysis. You have to do it again. Obviously, with the strats, it makes it so that Adachi is the one to be in front of Jungihan at the right perfect time to take that solo target hit. So I do think that actually the fight has a little bit more depth to it than most fights that are just, you know, use your single combo, etc. Like, I think that actually having Adachi there at the right time is good. So I think this is the best version of any Jungihan fight. I'm going to put it above the actual 6 Jungihan fight. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean this. Mabuchi 1. Mabuchi 1. 2 phases. So, actually, yeah, Mabuchi 1. You have the 2 phases. So you have Add phase, which is just Robson. Whatever. Then you have the actual Mabuchi fight. You have your Dart Airstrike. If Eri goes slower than Sayako, you actually no, you still use Dart Airstrike. Yeah, you still use Dart Airstrike. You use Dart Airstrike with Eri. You must assert it with Eri to give Adachi an insane amount of damage. And then you have to hope that Mabuchi doesn't kill you. You actually sometimes need to use a perfect guard for Mabuchi. So I think that Mabuchi actually deserves an A rank as well. I like a lot of the boss fights in LAD, I'm not going to lie. I might change up this order in a little bit, but I think he's like a high B, low A. I mean, he straddles the line. Reiji won in the crane. Reiji won in the crane. It's been giving me jip lately with the fact that he keeps busting out of his goddamn crane. But this is a fight that by all means should be scary. We're way under-leveled at this point. This crane, if it hits us, should mess us up completely. But thanks to the strats we've got, it never does. It never gets a chance. So, honestly, I think this Reiji fight is a good Reiji fight. It's going in the A tier as well. Namba Reiji also, because this fight, God, this fight sucks. So, you have the added effect here that Reiji can end the fight. And there's a couple of different methods. So, with Eri, you give Master Soda back to Adachi to give him some more damage. Ichi uses Robson to clear out the ads and also to hopefully charm Namba. And at this point, either Reiji is gonna counter you or not. And if he counters Ichi, he can fear him, at which point he is within one shot of being killed in the fight if Reiji uses gunshot on him. This is actually a hard fight. It's probably one of the earlier fights with a huge amount of RNG outside of the Chapter 4 fight, so you've got strats that you have to do. Sometimes you might have to play it a little bit more safe with Ichi. I think it's a good fight. I think it's a very good fight. I think the Reiji fights are good fights. Mabuchi 2. It's essentially the same as Mabuchi 1 with a bunch of ads and no different phases. So, I think it just goes next to Mabuchi. Reiji 3. Reiji 3 is a pain. So Reiji 3 is very different. I think Reiji 3 gets a mid-A tier above Jungihan, because Reiji 3, in the speedrun, you start with the ads, but you don't want to use any of your normal things that you've done to deal with the ads at this point. You want to focus Jungihan on Reiji, you want to use Eri to take out a specific ad, and then you actually want Ichi to go for Reiji. Then you want Namba, who's just come back in the fight for literally one purpose, to blow up all the ads. Now, you want to hope that he gets a high agility roll. It doesn't always matter. It doesn't always happen that way. And then you want to hope that Reiji doesn't kill Ichi, which he can. If he focuses on him, he can. It's a pain. Fuck you, Reiji. We'll hate you, but we love you. I think this is a good fight. I think it's one of the better Reiji fights in terms of the speedrun, because it's quite nice. I think it's quite varied. I quite like the Reiji fight. Matoba. Matoba is interesting, because Matoba, I don't necessarily call him a boss. That's what I think it is. Yo, it's fucking Fat Pope in Kenzan. Yo, it's Kenzan's final boss. Hell yeah, let's go. It's the fucking Fat Pope himself. Fat Reiji. God damn. Matoba's your first boss enemy that's resistant to gun attacks. So he starts off a very special rule for the run. In terms of the actual fight, I think he's a mid B. He goes alongside Takabe. You do a bit more against him. Use Gondaro with Ichi, for example. He's alright. He's part of a two-phase fight. Technically 3 fights if you count the one before that you don't get a chance to do. You have to heal in those phases as well. So there is a little bit of, obviously, management in those fights as well, which makes him a bit more than just a, you know, take care of this random guy fight that Takabe is. The strats are good. The fight is fine, but it's just a middling fight. It's just that fight. It's just there. Get up there. Get up there, you bastards. Majima Saijima is an S tier fight. Majima Saijima signify the beginning of the final phase of the speedrun, where everything gets fucking hard. And Majima Saijima is a phenomenal fight. It has an insane amount of RNG to it. It has an insane amount of luck to it. You start the fight the same way every time. You use Masochist with Ichi to make sure that you don't accidentally go into Doppelganger phase too early. You hope that you get enough damage on Robson to be able to take care of most of the Doppelgangers, so you don't have to use darts of Eri, because Majima is resistant to darts, to guns. Then as soon as Saijima comes in, you have to hit him twice with a rocket launcher. All this time, Majima is trying to paralyze your party members. This is a fight that is hard. This is a fight that has insanely good music. It's a fight that you have to concentrate on so much. You have to make very quick decisions, and you have to make them count. If Ichi gets hit on either side of Blade Kill, that's it. It's the end of the fight. There's nothing you can do. It has that whole expectation that this is where the run can die. This is the bit where the run can fuck you over. I like it a lot. I think this is one of the most hype fights in the game. I think it's one of the most hype fights in the speedrun. It's a good fight. It's a little frustrating. You can go a little safer with it to make it, like, obviously more marathon safe, or to try and save yourself or Ichi. It's a good fight. I like it a lot. I like it a hell of a lot. I think it would actually get a... I think it'd go above Isaac. I'm not gonna lie. I think it would actually go near the top. I'm not gonna lie. I think it would go all the way up there. Like... It's a fight that you have to prepare for. We go and upgrade our weapons for. We go and get equipment for to make sure that Ichi doesn't die. Like, it is a hard fight. It's the first of your very hard fights. And the strats for it in the speedrun are really good because it makes you get through that fight at like level 38, 39. You are a total of like 11 to 12 levels below both of them. Actually, it's not that low, is it? It's a bit higher than that. But it's like literally nearer to 8 to 7 levels below them. Like, you literally are in a hard fight. And you make use of so many of your skills in that fight. Like, it's a very good fight. Better than Ihara too, I'm afraid so. Sorry, you should be at the bottom. Tamashiro 2. This is a so hard fight to categorize because every fiber in my being wants to put it as a low S, but I honestly think he's a very high A tier. So, this is the PSP games, isn't it? Right? Yeah, this is PSP 1, so Kirihito 1. I hope that this is not DMCA, because if it is DMCA, that's gonna be a worry. Uh-oh. Maybe potentially goodbye YouTube audio. This shouldn't be DMCA. Oh well, if it is, we're gonna find out about it soon, I guess, question mark. It's going to be safe? Yeah, maybe. Sorry, Kurohyo, you're a good song, but... Oh, great, this is the next one. Oh, Jesus Christ, try and guess this one. Oh, fuck me. Back to the list. Quickly back to the list. Kiryu in LED. Low S tier. Maybe high A tier. This is a hard fight. This is a very unique fight because the gimmick of this fight is the fact that Kiryu doesn't punch any of your female party members. So, it's unique in that regard, and that he's always going to be going after either one of Ichi or Jungihan. Now, depending on how the fight goes at the start, you can either get lucky and get Ichi to go over very early and get an early mass kissed off, which is great, or you can get unfortunately unlucky and have Kiryu punch Ichi once, at which point the fight's going to be a little bit scarier. So, it's not always guaranteed that he'll go for either Ichi or Jungihan. You have to react. You use a lot of different skills in this fight. Eri and Saiko, your damage dealers, you need them to be constantly pumping out damage. Jungihan can also pump out real good damage with his essence of Phantom Drive. So, Kiryu has 4 different phases, and every single one of them is goddamn terrifying. Rush phase is scary because it has stun combo and it can stun you. Like, if that stuns Ichi, you then have to start thinking about healing with Jungihan. Like, at that point, you are losing damage. In Beast phase, he has Beast Throw. You have to get him out of that phase because it can hit you twice. If it hits you twice, you take so much damage. Then you have Legend style, his Dragon style, Dragon the Dojima style, which... that can Tiger Drop you! Thankfully, in the speedrun, we don't do anything that gets us Tiger Drops, but you can risk the end of that fight with damage if you've done everything else correctly. It's a scary fight. I think it's a very good fight. I think it's one of those fights that is actually really cool, but I think it's a low S tier. But literally, the 4 different styles make this a cool fight. A really, really cool fight. Reiji 4. I hate this. I hate this a lot. It goes into the S tier. This is the fight that is the hardest fight in the speedrun. This is the fight that can just end your run. Reiji 4 requires a lot of concentration, and Reiji 4 has the most damage out of any of the fights in the game. Like, even Tendo only gets more damage because obviously it's a longer fight, but Reiji is nasty. Reiji can one-shot most of your body. Reiji is disgusting. We use a lot of different elements in the Reiji fight. If you still somehow have a rocket launcher left over, you'll use a rocket launcher. Oh, the police are here. Curio too. Yeah. Reiji will just kill you outright. Just in case. just in case. I'm sorry, Mr. Dangerous. Just in case, we'll go to Ishin. Oh, Ishin's final fight theme. Oh, Ishin's final fight theme. Fuck yeah, this is a 9-minute long version. Fuck yes, it's got all the phases. Trust me on this list, when we get to Ishin, I'm not gonna lie, you're listening to an S tier. Oh. So, I think that Reiji 4, despite the fact that it is a speedrun killer, is one of the better fights in the actual video game. I'm sure it doesn't the MCA, but just in case. Because I haven't done those games on stream yet, so... Reiji 4, by god, this fight sucks. It's hard, but we use literally so many aspects. Rose Typhoon, Robson, Gondarawa, Muscle Sodas, Dart Airstrikes, Paralysis Prongs, Head Traumas, not Essences, although maybe if you can kill him fast. Healing, so much healing. If you get lucky and get Masochist bonus, holy fuck, congratulations, you've got a very good fight in your hands. This is one of the hardest fights in the run. It's one of the ones that you have to pay attention to the most. It's one of the ones that you have to put the most into. I think this is a good S tier fight. The amount of strats that you have to use in this fight and the amount of thinking that you have to do in this fight, it's a lot. And I think it deserves an S tier. I hate this. I hate this so fucking much. He gets the S. He's essentially the final boss. He's not the final boss, but in terms of the speedrun, he's pretty much the only boss that has ones left. He's the longest fight. He has like 26k HP. You start the fight using a move that you don't use in any other fight, Trix's Top Hat. You hope that you get that 1 in 4 chance of getting a better poison stack on him. If you do, congratulations, you're about to shit out damage. If you don't, you're then going to have a bit of a slower fight. I'm very conflicted when it comes to Tendo's fight. Because half of me thinks that Tendo has good fight strats, and half of me thinks that Tendo has awful fight stuff. Because let's just talk about the elephant in the room. The left hand and the right hand. I think that it is a good idea that Tendo has a move that does an insane amount of damage. Do I think that it's a good thing that Tendo has a cheap one-hit kill attack? No. And it's the thing that can kill your speed. So it's really infuriating. And it really is. But the actual fight itself is phenomenal. You have to keep in mind your buffs, depending on when you get Trix's Top Hat out, if at all. You're obviously on a different, timing window on your buffs from Eri to Sayako. You get Coercive Shout onto Sayako. You have to keep those buffs up. With Ichi, you have to find time to use a rocket launcher. You have to use Mr. Masochist at the start of the fight. You have to give enough breathing space for Jungihan to be able to keep using Essence and heal his MP on top of that. There are so many elements and so many parts that go into that Tendo fight to make it such a complete package. Like, yeah, I'm frustrated and annoyed it has a one-hit kill attack, but honestly, it's a really good fight. It's such a good fight. I hate it. I hate it so much. Fuck yeah, Takaji. But it is such a good fight, and I think it is the last of the S tier fights. The Young Master sits at a mid-A. Sits at a mid-A. You have to hope for a little bit of luck. You have to do a little bit in this fight to make it go fast. But if you can do good crits, good damage against the Young Master. You can have the Young Master escape before he summons his last round of backup. There is a little bit of an element of that in there. It is hope for the best with this fight in a couple of ways, but there are good strats to this fight to try and get the Young Master to escape early. And if you do that, you get a massive time save. Good strats. Again, you've waited the entire of the game to use the vast majority of your summons here. You reuse Saijima to get his defense down. You use Kiryu's... No, you don't use Kiryu's summon. You use Majima summon for the first time. You use Zero's Typhoon for most of, obviously, the ads. You use all of your best single target against the Young Master. It is literally just you're trying to beat the Young Master. And I think that the last Young Master fight would also come around about the same place, maybe below. Because... Did you know you can die to the Young Master? Because you can. So it's not a free fight. Not in the speedrun. But it is mostly... And you know what? It's a high B, actually. Because, honestly, you just use Pound Mates and one of your essences. It's a high B. You can die in the fight. I've never known anyone to die in that fight. Cough. But you can die in that fight. But... Yeah, that's Yakuza 4 Kiryu. Yeah, that's 4 Kiryu. I might change around the order of this a little bit, but I'm happy with that for LAD. I'm very happy with that. I think that LAD has a lot of good boss fights, and in terms of the speedrun, we have good tech for most of those fights. Like, really good tech for most of those fights. So, I genuinely think that a lot of LAD's fights deserve to be an S or A tier. Like, so now we get to the interesting stuff. I have not speedrun the PSP games, so I am sorry to the PSP Yakuzas. You're going into the can't remember such not enough knowledge because I don't have the knowledge. Hello, Yaneda, fuck you. So, all of the PSP stuff, I'm afraid, you'll get to go down here. I am sorry. If I knew the games, I'm sure I would love some of these fights, but as far as a speedrun list goes... Both loud, please. As far as the speedrun list goes, I can't do the speedrun tier list when I haven't done them in a speedrun, which is a genuine shame, because some of these fights look really cool. Oh shit, Judgment. Or kind of Judgment. And then Shimasu. Go over there. Don't ask why we're leaving. Zero's all over the place. That's why we're leaving Zero until later. I played the PSP before, games for casually. Well, my good viewer. Well, my good viewer. Well, my good viewer. It's taking too long for this bit. Well, my good viewer. What do you think? What do you think? Here is Curio 2. Here's Curio 1. I have played these casually. I like these. I actually like these a lot. It is my big plan this year to speedrun the both of these. These and OG2 are the big burning holes in my speedrun every Yakuza game list. We've done one run of OG2. That does not mean we're done because obviously my PS3 died. I need to do more runs. But I want to do runs of that on OG hardware if possible. But the problem with doing it on OG hardware is I need a PSP 2000/3000 and I need something that can upscale, so a RetroTink. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So that's something that I'm waiting on a couple of months. It's probably going to be nearer the end of this year, but that's my plan. Through why you use the PlayStation TV, I hear you ask. Only 2 was released digitally on the PS TV. So, what a pain. On PSN, I mean. So, it's a massive shame. I have seen, okay, ironically enough, I have seen the final boss of Kirihito 2, because Metza has found a hilariously easy strat for this boss. Like, there is a style in Kirihito 2 that is absolutely fucking broken. And this boss goes down in about 30 to 40 seconds, and it's the final boss of the game. So, that boss is probably not going high on the tier list. A horse player gambler detective. Get your ass in your low-ass B tier, you tutorialized motherfucker. Here's your tutorial for... It looks easy, but it's not easy. Oh, wow. Fear has entered my heart. Fear at every fucking aspect. Tiger! No! No! Tiger! Fuck! So, again, Dark's points because he's part of the tutorial. He's a really quick fight and he's a frustrating fight. He should probably be mid-B tier rather than low, but I don't like this fight, if I'm being honest. I don't have great strats for him. He's a pain in the ass if he wants to be. But fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. Hey, Rosa, it's all good. We've done all of these bosses so far, and we've got all of these to go. I knew this would be a long one. So, the horseplay detective gets a low B. Murasei 1. Part tutorial, but that's because of the mortal wounds. He's the first boss that can mortal wound you. Murasei gains extra points due to the fact that Murasei's fight theme is a fucking banger. Murasei round 1 with the EX move. Murasei round 1 is the first time in the run where we can properly juggle with the use of our EX mode. So Murasei 1 gets a couple of points for that. I think Murasei gets a high B. I think Murasei gets a high B tier. Murasei 2 gets a mid. Now let me explain. Murasei 2 is not the worst, but there's ads in the fight, there's Kaito in the fight. You can't juggle him as well. It's one of the first fights as well that we start to use our EX War Acrobatics to interrupt him in the middle of his invulnerability phase, so that we can interrupt his EX and keep attacking him. So he's got good strats, but there's no kind of juggle, there's no kind of focus like there is in Murasei 1, thanks to Kaito and all the ads. So I think that actually detracts from the speedrun fight for Murasei 2. It's a bit of a shame. It's a massive shame. Yeah, the Zero fights are all over the place. It's why I'm leaving them, because fuck Ginger Chapman. In fact, you know what? Get the fucking to C tier already. Piece of shit. But yeah, I think that Murasei 2 is just not as good as Murasei 1. It's a cool fight in that, you know, he comes along, he has a sword, you know, it's actually quite hype. But I don't think it's as good a fight as Murasei 1. Ozaki, man, I ain't gonna lie, you kind of C tier, my dude. Like, he's just there. Like, you just combo him. Like, it's a satisfying combo, but that's it. Like, it's not really much of a fight. Ozaki 1 is kind of similar, but he gets to be in a low B because you have the two phases. You have the ads, obviously. You want to take care of the ads first. We use a bit of our Crane EX to be able to take care of them. Then, essentially, just, I don't know. He's okay. Like, he's okay. In the speedrun, Ozaki 1 doesn't really offer much. Now, Higachi 1. I hate to do it to my boy, but I kind of feel similarly. There's not that much because of the ads. I think he's a mid-B. Like, he's above Hangman. He's a solid fight in the speedrun. You need to be careful of him in regards to the ads. He has a very quick EX mode. You want to try and get him to at the perfect time when all the ads are gone. Higashi is a good character. I like this fight casually, but in the speedrun, it's just there. You can't really juggle him that much. It's just there. Shioya 1. This fight's rough. You have to be very careful because Shioya round 1 has a couple of ads. Shioya himself, but you have the boys. You have Kaito and you have Sugiura. It's a bit of a mess. There's a lot of reacting in this fight. I think this is also a mid-B fight. I think it's a bit worse than Higashi. It's one of those fights that's kind of... There's two phases. Second phase is dangerous. You want to be careful of the ads, but you want to be careful of his EX. You can actually get his EX to hit one of your allies, which also helps a lot. But his second phase is really frustrating because you're not that well equipped to deal with it at that point. And even if you try and juggle the boys and knock him out of it. It's not a bad fight, but in the speedrun, it's a bit of a frustrating fight. Now, Shioya 2, that gets at least a low A. That's a good fight. That's a much better fight. You have like 20 ads at the midpoint, fucking Shoya resummons them. Then you get the actual Shoya fight itself, because the mid-fight QT separates you and Shoya from the rest of the fight, at which point your friends Kaito and Sugiura are dealing with the ads. This is the point where the Shoya fights actually shine. You get to juggle, you get to deal with his EX, you get to be careful, you get to do wall running and jumping, etc. There's plenty of furniture if you want to use it if the fight's going horribly. This is genuinely the best Shoya fight, and a very good one in terms of judgment. There's a lot you have to deal with in this fight, and I actually really like it a lot. Higachi 2 also gets on the low A, because you have a lot more ads. Kaito's there with you, yes, but this fight is dangerous because you don't have that much of a wall to run up and use your wall EX acrobatics. The fight gets a low A, potentially high B, because of how frustrating the pond in the corner is. It can interrupt your flow, but it can also help you. So you can use it as he's dropping down to get free hits in and get the juggles. There's actually good aspects to this fight, but there's also bad aspects. I think it's a low A. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight. It's the best Higashi fight in the game for sure. Hamura Ozaki. This is either a high B or low A. I think this gets the low A treatment. I think it's a little better than the Higashi and Shoya fights, because you're dealing with Captain Hamura and Ozaki, one of which has a HP bar more than the other, but they both have... Why is this going after the final boss theme? Fuck you, Fist Little Star. But they both have EX modes, so you want to be very careful in trying to separate them and focusing on one of them alone. Kaito's in the fight to help. There's a bunch of ads that can also get in your way. It's one of those fights that you have to do a lot of reacting to. EX crane attacks, very good for the ads. Decently quick move, good damage to whoever it hits, even the bosses themselves. Hamura himself, very easy to deal with. So is Ozaki, both separately. Both together actually make for a really hard fight in the speedrun. You actually have to be very careful. So I think there's a lot of management with this fight, and I actually quite like it a lot. I think it is a decent fight. Is that OG1 Forkman? Okay. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just get them both out of the way. Let's just get them both out of the way. Let's just get them in here. I'm not gonna hide my boner for Cane Man. I'm biased towards Cane Man. I think that Cane Man is absolutely phenomenal as an aspect from a Yakuza boss, even as a boss that is called fucking Cane Man. Cane Man is phenomenal. The first fight against Cane Man, he turns up as just this random ass fucking assassin to try and kill Yagami, and he starts in his EX trying to do an EX attack, a mortal wound against you. Holy fuck. The fight theme is the same as Mura says. It's an insane fight theme. Yes, I'm biased to this fight. I love every aspect of this fight. The speedrun, you get to juggle the fucker. It's so satisfying. The four Cane Mans in the set piece are all vastly different. You have Cane Man with a knife, Cane Man with a sword, Cane Man with a gun, and then you have Cane Man with a cane. Cane Man himself is absolutely phenomenal. Like, every single fight is completely different in that goddamn set piece. The fucking gun one is so goddamn dangerous. That is the one fight you have to focus on completely. You cannot go for the ads. If you don't focus on Cane Man, he will mortal wound you with every normal attack, let alone his mortal wound. You have to build up your EX fight. You have to go aggressive. It's such a good fight. He probably deserves an A tier, but I kind of really fucking love the Cane Man fight, so he's getting an S tier. Don't even at me. Listen, he's getting a pretty high S tier as well. Don't even fucking at me. Masahiko 1. It's kind of the very definition of high mid tier. He's true mid. I think he's above the Majima fight for sure. Fight. Bunch of ads, you and Sugiura trying to fight all of them. You can use the bike, which is what you use for the ads, and then with Masahiko himself, he's very good to juggle. Juggling is a very good option against him, but again, it's not the easiest juggle to do. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight. He can hit you hard. I like this fight a lot. I think that he is a decent boss, but I don't think he is massively A tier. In terms of the speedrun, we don't have that many amazing tech against him. Oh, this is irony. Of course it is. Hamura free. I'm gonna get shit for this. Gets the S tier. Hamura free is one hell of a fight. Hamura free in the speedrun has a very specific set of combos that you want to do, and if you fuck it up, you're getting mortal wounded. Hamura free is very, very rough to do. Phase 1 is all about doing the right kind of wall attacks and the right kind of heat attacks to push into Phase 2, and then Phase 2 you're trying to juggle. You managed to pull it off. This is one of the most satisfying fights in Judgment. It's so good. It's genuinely so good. Love the fight. Think it is fantastic. Absolutely. Good music. Good scenario. I think it's a good fight. Why the fuck does Ozaki get such a cool fight intro, and why is he an A tier? He's above Ihara. Yeah, he's above Ihara. Why is Ozaki an A tier? He's actually a really good fight. Ozaki, especially Ozaki 1 and Ozaki 2, is a fight that Ozaki uses his weight in appropriate ways. It's really good for the fight itself, but it's also a good fight here because you have the fire that's going off. You ideally want to actually push him into the fire instead of actually just constantly juggling him, because having him react to the fire makes it so that he actually like buckles and takes all those hits. So the ideal fight is juggling and fire. It's reasonably hard to actually do. So I think this is a good fight. I think it's an A tier for the speedrun. And again, I 1 HP'd it on legend difficulty. Like, Ozaki is really cool. Really, really cool. I love Hangman. Hangman in Judgment. So here's Hangman in 6, here's Hangman in Judgment. He deserves to be a bit higher placed, but I still think he is a B tier. Probably between Nagano and Somia. Hangman in Judgment has learned from Yakuza 6. He uses a sledgehammer against you. It's painful. It's very painful. In the speedrun, you are reacting to Hangman. You have to keep him staggered for as long as possible. Heat moves work fucking perfectly. All wall attacks, etc., etc. He does an insane amount of damage. Hangman is scary. Hangman is terrifying. That cut menu theme that is supposed to be Ozaki's white theme. Interesting, huh? It's a very good theme for the Dragon card, to be honest. But Hangman in Judgment is better than Hangman in 6. Even with the whole, giant set piece. Here's Ozaki again. This is round 2 Ozaki. This is a hard fight. It's a B tier because he has Ozaki. He has bloody a load of ads. He gets the mid B. Yeah, he gets the mid B. I think he's above R6s, but I don't think he's above Morinaga, Aizawa, etc. It's a hard fight. This was actually one of the fights I struggled with the most when I played Judgment casually. I actually think this was the hardest fight. Also, in terms of the speedrun, to knock a few points off of it, on the PS4 original version, when you go into this fight, if you see the loading in the bottom right corner, do not use a heat move, otherwise you will be permanently soft-locked. Which on base PS4 is like 5.5 hours into the run. Now, the irony of this theme playing is, hello, get to fucking S tier with every fucking version of your fight. Good God. I'm doing this. In the speedrun, I do genuinely believe that Kuroiwa 2 is one of the best speedrun fights. Kuroiwa as a fight, as a boss, 1, you're hearing his theme, it's fucking great. 2, everything behind Kuroiwa, the build-up, the fight, the intro, the 1 minute long choreography section in the middle of Kuroiwa 2 for IGG to just fucking flex with. Oh my god, everything about Kuroiwa 2's fight is insane. The mid HP heal back to full HP. You are fighting a psychopath. You are not fighting a Yakuza that you've seen all their morals and stuff for. You're fighting a goddamn psychopath. Kuroiwa is an insanely good set of fights. Like, I love these fights in the speedrun. We actually have strats for these fights in the speedrun. It's a lot of wall running, a lot of wall jumping. You buy alcohol at the very start of the game and use part of it in this fight to build up your EX faster, and you use drunk strats. You also use your extract you get earlier on in the game because, oh my god, Kuroiwa is one of the hardest sets of fights in Judgment, and by god, even in the speedrun, one of the best. Like, Kuroiwa 2 casually is one of my favorite fights, and in the speedrun is one of my favorite fights. The actual fights are insane, and they really are. Ew. I see. We've reached this bit. Is that the end of the music? Was Judgment the end? That was 2 hours and 2 minutes, by the way. Fucking hell. Oh my god. Fucking hell. Yeah, we've been at this for a little bit, huh? Is there? Let me see. You know what? We're playing. No, it's spoilers. I can't play it. I was gonna play a Lost Judgment's final boss fight for 30 minutes, but no, I can't. I can't do that one. Where are we? Let's just repeat that actually, because we need to get done. We'll go from the start again. But I mean, we could. It's just final boss themes. Yeah, it was. It was. I couldn't find like an every single boss theme, but it's fine. God. Fist of the North Star. All right, let's do this. Ray gets to be B tier. It's not a hard fight. It's not. It's a low B tier. It's not a hard fight. It's kind of a. You're above Hasabe at the very least, and him. It's a good fight, but it's just a middling fight that's just there. The Giant gets a C tier, high C tier. It's a unique fight. It's not a good fight. In the speedrun, we have a way to do it fast. A Shin not Ray, damn it. In the fight, in the speedrun, the Giant he's dealt with quite quickly. It's a unique fight that you don't really get to see its uniqueness. Yuya OG1, sure. Targa 1. Fight doesn't last very often. It not very long. It's the first one where we do the drop kick as well. There's a couple of ads. It's essentially a B tier fight, probably above Ray. It's not that high up. God, this guy. This is the guy who's voiced by Shimano. He's outside the Colosseum with Toki. Ironically, Toki is not available as a boss here when he should be, because you do have to legit fight him once after this fight. I think this is again... I think this is a bit of a C tier. He's a nothing fight. You don't really do much in the speedrun with him. Like, you just demolish him quite fast, honestly. Hey, here's Ray. Speedrun Ray fight. High B tier. High B tier, because this fight is actually really rough. Is it me or is this louder than it was before? It's the same volume. So, Ray has a mid-fight QT that you can accidentally play twice. You have to be very careful with this fight. You have to get him to the next phase at the right point. It's a little bit finicky. It's a hard fight. Nadai won. Yeah, it's around the same. It's a good fight. It's not amazing in the speedrun. It's got pretty much the same tech, jump, drop kick, etc. Bowser. high A tier. Very high A tier. Bowser's fight, 7-minute time loss, shut the fuck up. Bowser is a very good fight, in that it's a long fight, good build-up. Does kind of spoil big manga plot points in the middle, so you know, extra points for that. It's a good fight, and you can't just spam the drop kick. You have to, unless you're at low HP. You have to be very careful in this fight. This fight can kill you. It requires actually you to do a lot of dodging, a lot of like jumping around. Bowser's a good fight. Bowser's a goddamn good fight. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of Fist All Star's best. Why are there two Jaggies? They're exactly the same fight. I don't know why there's two Jaggies. Jaggy gets low 8 it. It's the same fight, so I'm putting it in the same thing. Jaggy has one of the most unique fights to it at the start of the fight, where you're actually in a first-person fight against Jaggy, because Ken is not allowed to move. So you fight in first person, dodge, you punch. In the speedrun, you can make it go very fast, so it's got good tech. And then you do the actual fight against Jaggy, and if you do the fight against Jaggy well, all you see is QTs. So there's good tech to the Jaggy fight in actual Fist of All-Star speedrun. And it has that uniqueness at the start of the fight that it deserves to be an A tier. You have no other fight that's a first-person fight, and it's really cool, and you can go fast in with good speed tech. I think it's a good fight. I really do. Rao. S tier. Rao is, in my opinion, the best boss fight in the speedrun for Fist of the North Star in terms of what you can do and what you have to be careful of. When you get to the Rao fight, you're about 20 levels under level. At this point, Rao can almost one-shot you. This is a scary fight. Rao is very much a physical powerhouse. Even when you attack him, he has insanely high defense. Rao is nasty. Rao is a nasty fight, and it's such a hype fight. Like, music's great, intro's great, mid-fight QTEs are great. It gives you free 7-star. You cannot waste it. You have to go aggressive against him, and yet it's very easy to die against him due to the fact that you are 20 levels below him. It's a hard fight. It's a unique fight. The guy has goddamn Kamehamehas, but it's such a good fight. It really is. In the speedrun, it's a fantastic fight. It really is. And yes, I'm putting a Fist of the North Star boss fight in an S tier. Genuinely. Actually, genuinely. Has it got quite louder? Yeah, I didn't put it that loud. Like, it's still the same volume that it was earlier, but I guess it did. That should be minus infinite. That should be around about a better decibel, and I can raise it a little bit later. Fucking Nintendo tier. Listen, Nintendo deserves the S. I hate to say it. But Rao is one of the best fights in Fist of the North Star. Nadai. Although actually Targa. This is a decent fight. I think this gets a high B tier. I think it's a very high B tier. It's kind of like your first look at Nadai, even though it's Targa. So it's not the full Nadai moveset. I think that Nadai is, or Nadai Targa, is a good fight for what it is. It's a shorter fight. It's got good strats to it because we want to get in there with the 7-star and then build it up against him again. Lots of dodging. Lots of trying to avoid, obviously, his electric attacks. But the real Nadai fight is this one. And I honestly think it gets a low A. I think it gets a low A. I think it's a good fight. In terms of the speedrun, We have good tech against him. We have to avoid this, especially the second phase. When we get to the second phase of this fight, that's where the speedrun version of this fight really shines, because you have to avoid every single one of his normal attacks from the front, because of the, obviously, the electric-infused attacks, but you also have to avoid, like, the electric-infused, like, ground AoE, because that move absolutely decimates you. Okay, I think I can turn it back up again now, because this is quite quiet. I think that the Nadai fight deserves an A in the speedrun list because I think that it actually has good tech. You tell I'm starting to get quite tired considering it's 1 AM and my throat is going a little bit. Final Tugger. This is a good fight. In the speedrun, it's a hard fight. It's a real hard fight. We have strats, but Targa just avoids all of them in the second phase. It's not the most optimized fight in the speedrun. Therefore, I have to give him a low A, which I think he deserves higher, but this is a speedrun tier list, and in the speedrun, we don't have great strats for him. He's a good fight, he's a scary fight. We're like 25 to 30 levels below him at this point. He is a hard fight, and I love him for that, but by God, we don't have the same kind of strats that we do against Rao. So in the speedrun, it's just not, I can't place him higher. In fact, he'd probably be a B tier. Like, in fact, he's probably a high B tier, honestly, because we just don't have enough to deal with him. He's a good fight, don't get me wrong. If this was a casual list, he'd be up at a high A. But we're finally at Lost Judgment. By the way, we still have Lost Judgment, OG1, Dead Souls, Ishin, 0, K1, and the rest of K2 to do. Fucking hell. We might speed up a little bit. And unfortunately, we're going to be speeding up with Lost Judgment, because Lost Judgment is going to EX mode, press R2 and then press triangle a bunch, which is a lot of the bosses, which sucks. So for Kosuke, you get a B. For the rugby team, you get a B. For the smug guy in the classroom, you get a B. For Jin Kuwana, you get a high B tier, because Jin Kuwana has actual tech in the speedrun. Jin Kuwana is the first fight where you have to do that fight, and you have to be very careful at the points where you transition into the next phase. He's a hard fight. He's a very, very hard fight. So you want to make sure that you get him into the next phase at the right times, and then you need a little bit of luck in his second phase. But he's the first fight in the speedrun that actually requires, you know, a bit of input and a bit of thinking. Alright, Shima, have a good evening. He's a good fight. He's got a good fight theme. His mid-fight thing doesn't last too long. In the speedrun, I think he's a good fight. Tesso. You get to go alongside Kuwana. Bit higher. Because again, Tesso has good strats. You level up during the start of that fight to get more damage, and then you have a very specific set of moves that you want to do against him, and you need to juggle him. You need to juggle him at first with your new triple finisher, and then you have to EX him at the right time. You have a very, very tight timing window to get Tesso in his first fight. It's a good fight, even with EX spam. That's a bit loud. Let's lower that down a little bit. It's good music, but it's a little loud. Why are you here, my dude? Get into C tier. Just get out. The Akutsu Gauntlet, Akutsu 1. This is coming off of the back of the set piece. Bunch of ads. You want to get Akutsu into second phase immediately with a juggle, ironically enough. And then you just EX a bunch. It's a B tier. It's a B tier. Tesso with the chainsaw gets to be a bit higher. It's juggle into EX phase 2, but there's a whole bunch of ads, and you have to avoid certain parts of the room where there's the bags of flour, because those will obviously stun you, etc. So Tesso gets himself a good old B tier. Tesso, Akutsu 2. Because I think Akutsu 2 is just there. The guy outside the Omi Alliance in OG1. The guy outside of Kuana's apartment. Why is he here? Get in C tier. You're literally worse than half of the people on this list. You just fight this guy. It's a normal fight. Okay, give me 2 seconds here. I'm just gonna pause this for 2 seconds. Okay. Yeah, this is necessary for this next one. Okay, so I'm going to be exceptionally biased with this one. Looking at Lost Judgment bosses as a whole, Soma, Phase 1 Soma, he gets the S tier because he's probably the best boss in Lost Judgment. This is his fight theme. It's fucking phenomenal. It adds to it. The intro cutscene adds to it. And Soma is actually more than just spam EX, because you have to start the fight by doing actual combos against him. In the speedrun, the reason why I'm putting Soma an S tier over Soma 2 is that Soma 2 is a joke, and you'll see why. Soma 1, absolutely fantastic. This fight theme, I could go on for days about how good this fight theme is and how much it just emphasizes how good of a fight this is, even in the speedrun. The trouble is, in the speedrun, you don't get to hear it that much. The fight's usually over by this point, ironically enough, but Soma as a fight is very, very good in the speedrun. You start the start of the fight trying to juggle the guy. You need to build your EX because you've used your EX in the previous fights. This is a good fight. Phase 2 is EX, but it's also EX done at the right time to break enough HP so that when you finish the mortal attack or the mortal reversal, or the deadly reversal, what they call it, you then just go straight into the next. Like, come on. Like, come on. This is so good. But, God. The Soma 1 fight is better than the Soma 2 fight. And in terms of boss fights in Lost Judgment, this is the best one in the speedrun. It's a little awkward. I am very heavily biased. This should probably be an A rather than an S. But it's such a good fight. And it's such a good fight theme. There's Tesso 2. The ads, the EX mode. There's a little bit of strat to this. This is better than Tesso 1. I think it's better than Akutsu Chainsaw. Watanabe, we level up. I think he goes above Tesso 1 in between him and Thingy for the speedrun. It's a good fight. It's a fast fight. Not much happens. The guy with the gun upstairs, why are you in this list? Get out. Jesus. What is this? Oh my god. Kuana 2, good fight. Kuana 2 gets a low... What the heck? Gets a low A. Kuana 2 actually requires a bit more than just the EX and good timing on the combo. So Kuana 2 gets to be a low A. The construction guys, why are you here? Like, seriously, get out. Kutsu 3. It is essentially a lot of EX, but it's EXing at the right time to try and not. It's a bunch of EX. It's probably better than. Is it better than 1? I don't think it is, you know. It's not embarrassing. Is that Takachi Hanpeito? No, that's Takachi Hanpeito. Who the hell is this guy? Who the hell is this guy? I don't know who this guy is. Guy in the boat. Oh yeah, this is the guy in the boat. Yeah, you're a C tier. Jesus Christ. I didn't even recognize you. You leave. You just leave. God. So then... Hi, OG One Shrine. Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy? He's not also boat guy. Guy you fight after self-selection chapter 12. I don't know who the fuck that is. I forgot.
Nice.
You almost put him in gun tier. Fly, thank you for the 12 months. I appreciate it. Excuse me. All right. Back to this. Back to this. All right. Construction guy, no. Get in C tier. What are you doing here? Fighting town, get in C tier. Soma 2, get in C tier alongside Kuana. This is controversial, but remember this is a... Well, actually, Soma 2 gets to go a little above due to the fact you have to do a few things in the fight. This is going to look controversial. Remember, this is a speedrun tier list. In both of these fights, or specifically in this Soma fight, you use your essence, and all you do in these fights is press circle. That's it. It's technically good speed tech, but the fights themselves are terrible. So, they... Yeah. It's just terrible. Like, I'd have to put them there. Like, it's awful, it's bland, it's terrible. If you want a good final boss for Lost Judgment, play Kaito Files, because that's a good one. Yeah, it's just terrible. Oh boy, Yakuza Dead Souls! So this is the Ihara Baki prototype. This gonna sound stupid. This goes in a low 80. Because in the any percent, there's actually strats to this fight, and you actually need to go fast and be at the right angle to hit its weak spot. This is actually a legit boss fight. I'm not kidding. It's actually a legit boss. It's actually pretty good in terms of speed tech. I'm actually speeding up because we still have all of the... We're actually not too bad. We can see it on a single screen now. Not bad. The Onraki, Majima's first boss. There's speed tech to this as well. It's a lot harder to do in the any percent, so it's going to get shoved into a B tier. Mid-tier, go next to Majima, be buddy-buddy. You have to break his armor in the chest and hit him in the chest a couple of times to not transition his phase too early. Then when he goes to pick up the car, you have to hit him in the chest. Or when he grabs the car, if you're too late, hit the car with a heat attack, stun him, and then get him before he gets to the next car. It's actually a hard fight. It's actually a legit fight in the speedrun. Dead Souls has legit boss fights. Don't at me. I'm sorry, it does. Here's the second Ararabaki fight, which actually goes invisible and is a pain in the ass. You get to be a low B tier. Actually, no, you don't get the same speed tech. No, you're terrible. You're jank. Go in C tier. You're better than Kuana. Most of these fights are actually better than Kuana, you know. This hurts. He has to go to the bottom. This sucks. Like, this actually sucks. Ow. Baseball lad. Oh boy. So this is the spider-esque Tsuchigumo in the batting center. This is kind of goes alongside. Tell you what, I'm actually putting them all at a low A tier. All of these bosses here and Batman, because I can sum them up together. Where's Batman? There's Batman. So all of these bosses are actually hard, and they all have speed tech to them. Like, in some way, shape, or form, they all have speed tech, and it differs per fight. The weak spot of the Tsuchigumo is on his chest when he's chasing after, Akiyama. You have to try and hit him in the chest with your shotgun to knock him on the ground, and then you have a small amount of time to beat him before he gets up again. It's actually really hard in the any percent. The octopus boss goes beneath the floor, and if he does certain attacks, you can actually take out his tentacles early. If you take out his tentacles early, you do an insane amount of damage to him. So you want to aim for tentacles here as well and like try and bait out specific attacks. There's also a spot you can stand that's weirdly super safe. Don't know why. Never figured that out, but I know where it is. And then Batman. Batman is great. You get the sniper rifle, you can stun lock him for the entirety of his phase where he's supposed to summon in the ads. There's actual legit speed tech to every one of these boss fights in Yakuza Dead Souls. And I'm actually putting them in A tier. I'm sorry, because they have good speed tech. Like, they do. This is a speedrun tier list. They have good speed tech. They probably don't deserve to be much higher in the A tier, but they have good speed tech. The rest of Dead Souls' bosses are... This is just 2 lickers and a large lad. It's whatever. Like, it's the highest C tier, but it's a C tier. Nothing is new about it. OG1 Hayashi and Dead Souls Hayashi. Okay. Okay, you jackass. Congrats, you get to be... Oh, fuck me. You get to be a B tier, but you get to be a reasonably high B tier. Holy shit. Dead Souls Hayashi is actually a legit fight because he can steal, or usually will steal, Ryuji's Gatling gun arm and use it against you. And you have to react to that. You can knock him off the ceiling if you're good enough. You can keep him downed if you're good enough. It's a hard fight in speedrun. It's a very hard fight. In the New Game Plus, much easier. In the 80%, hard fight, rewarding fight, good speed tech actually. Ginryo, hard fight in the speedrun, not that much speed tech. I'd put you as a low B tier. Better than the Lost Judgment, lads, I'm afraid. God. Nishida? No, that's Majima's assistant. Jesus Christ. Nikaido. Phase 1 Nikaido has the blood zombies. Has a very unique premise in that he goes into his heart phase. Fights hard. Has okay speed tech. If you can kill his heart in time, you can actually get him. You can actually get him kinda done quickly, but it's a hard fight. And in the speedrun wise in the 80%, it's rough. Final phase, I think, gets to be one of the worst final bosses alongside Kuroiwa. It's okay. You shoot, you can't avoid his attacks, you throw a grenade in his gob. Sure. We get to the fun part. Hold, please. Hold, please. There's a specific piece of music that I want to put on for Ishin. Where are we? It's a very, very specific piece of music that I want to put on for Ishin. Where are we? Here we are. Of course. Of course. I'm gonna be very biased with Ishin. I'm just gonna warn you now. Alright, Rosa, have a good night. It's late. This tier list has been going on for 2.5 hours. We said this would be a long one, and we're getting there. Remember, OG2 goes in here because I haven't done it enough. So, Izo 1. Very basic introduction fight. Believe that's a high B tier. It's better than Hayashi. It's probably not better than Masahiko. It's okay. The ninja fight, the person that kills Notfuma Oyabun. Good fight, but ends early. So I'm going to be quite harsh with this one and put it as a C tier. This fight doesn't really get going. It says it has 2 HP bars. It doesn't even have 1. Or it has a little bit more than 1. Not a great fight in the speedrun. Sorry. You dodge behind, you do a couple of combos. Not that great of a fight in the speedrun. Slap ass! One of the most unique fights in the entirety of Ishin, and you get to slap Ryuji's ass. Absolutely, that's an A tier. Abso-fucking-lutely. You have to actually be careful in this fight. You have to dodge. You have to actually be aggressive. This fight's great. Slap ass, baby. That's an A tier all day long. It's probably a mid A tier. Fuck it. You got above. Yeah, you're above Iwami and the Young Master. Absolutely. Slap ass, folks. Slap ass. Izo 2. This is the one outside where you meet Takechi when you go over to Kyoto, over in the Poor District. This is a very satisfying fight if done right. It has a mid-fight QTE. It's a little better than the first one. It's a little better than the first one. I think it's better than the first one. I mean, it's kind of roughly the same. I think they're both good. Not Saijima, aka Shinpachi of the Shinsengumi. Reasonably high to mid B tier. Better than Final Targa in terms of the speedrun. Can go very fucking fast if you do this fight correctly. It's one of the first fights where using the circle guard block move on sword style, you can break his guard and then get off a full combo. Hit him as he's getting up, then he'll guard again, break his guard, rinse, repeat. It's good strats for a very early boss, but it's not much more than a simple boss, to be honest. Oh my god, D. Feldman. The Traitor is a bog standard average fight that goes in C tier, I'm afraid. It's okay. It's bog standard average. Izo 3 when we go to the Izakaya. Good fight. It's very similar to 2, but without the ads. I'd say it's a bit more focused because of that, so I think it goes into B tier. Not Kanai for the 4th time, 5th time, whatever. Hooray, he's here. No, that's OG1. They're out of place a little bit. That's why he's there. Not Kanai. You get to be a B tier, a mid B tier, my dude. I'd say you're between the Dead Souls bosses, honestly. He's there. He doesn't last too long. He has a big fuck-off club and can knock you halfway across the room if you play this fight badly. Speedrun-wise, he's okay. He can lose you time. He can save you time. I know what you want from me. Ah, yes. Not Akiyama 1. This is an interesting fight. I think this is a mid-B as well. I think it's better than the first Izo fight, but not better than 2 and 3. It's an okay fight. It's an okay fight. It's got the same kind of tech as these fights do, so it's not really any different. And now we start getting to the good shit. Oh, hey, Kuze. We start with Kondo. Kondo the Shinsengumi gets an A tier. He gets a reasonable A tier. I think he's above Somia. So Kondo is a Tenin Rishin style user. One of the harder ones. Has a very good mid-fight QTE, has a bit of a longer fight, but the speed tech that we have can keep Kondo down almost all the time. There's not many bosses that actually do that, but Kondo's one of them. You keep Kondo in that combo that I said earlier, such a good fight. Such a good fight in the speedrun. Not Majima, aka Okita Soji 1. High fucking A tier. Absolutely. In fact, bring the other one. I would say, and here's the best part. I'm making this one higher because here's the best part. They have 2 different sets of fucking boss musics. As you can hear, Ishin goes fucking hard. Ishin's music is insane. It is criminally underrated. It is so fucking good. Both of these fights are phenomenal. They're top tier Majima fights in terms of the series. They deserve to be there. This fight is... Speedrun-wise, I hate this fight. It's going as a low A because it's very unique. Not only do you almost get to slap-ass Ryuji again, but you also have not Akiyama here as well. Essentially, you are a very upset... not Kiryu here, and you have to fight the 2 of them at the same time without using sword. It is all hand to hand. It is a hard set of fights that has a couple of good speed techs to it. There's a couple of weapons around the fight that you need to utilize, and you need to separate not Akiyama and not Ryuji from yourself. It's a hard set of fights. It's a cool set of fights. In the speedrun, it's rough. High not Daigo. This might surprise. He goes into the A tier. It's a long fight with a lot of different phases, and the problem with not Daigo, the head of Japan, not again, the problem with him in the speedrun is that one of his phases can stun lock you for good. You have to be very precise with your combos. You have to know when to attack him and when he's going to run away with his hyper armor. You have to be so very careful with this fight. You have to be careful, and it's great. It is fantastic. Not what to say. This is... Ignore the two OG1 and obviously Zero fights here. This is part of the long boss rush chapter. You fight a bunch of fights in a row, and they're all really bloody good. Not what to say, in the speedrun, murders you in about half a second. He gets to go in the A tier. He is a hard fight. You have to be careful. He has a load of ads. You have a friend with you at the time. It's a hard fight. It's an incredibly hard fight. I think it's Majima. Okutsusoji it's Okutsusoji who's with you for that fight. We're just repeating that music for a second while we finish off Ishin, because again, that's been 8.5 minutes. Oh my god. We need to speed up. It's such a good fight in the speedrun. It really is. Like, it deserves it. Like, it's such a good fight. Like, it's not the last time you fight the fucker either is the best part, so if he's on this list as well, which he is, he also gets... His other fight is essentially exactly the same. Maybe that should lose him points, but essentially, it's an amazing fight. Now, not Aizawa. Unfortunately, not S rank like Aizawa 1, but in terms of the speedrun, he's darn sight better than Yahata and Ozaki, that's for sure. Not Aizawa is actually a good fight in Ishin. So he uses a polearm, and that polearm actually gets really frustrating in phase 2. But phase 1 of the fight is one of those phases that, with the right combos, the right timing, you can actually keep him busy the entire time. Really fucking cool mid-fight QTE, really cool music, and then you get phase 2, which, that's a dangerous phase. You have to be exceptionally careful of that phase. Like, genuinely one of the harder fights in Ishin, in the speedrun. Like, well, here's the thing, if Ishin gets localized, and again, this is just conjecture, I think they would do Ishin on everything. So they would do it PlayStation, Xbox, PC. There's no reason not to. And with Ishin being a niche game in a niche series, they kind of need it on as many people as they can get. So, Izo Final. This is an absolute no-brainer. Straight to the top of S tier, just below Kuroiwa. This is probably one of my favorite fights in Ishin. Everything in Ishin builds up so beautifully to this bit. There is and this should affect the speedrun, right? There is a 2-minute long intro to the fight. It is long, it is so poignant, it is one of the best fight intros despite the fact that it's 2 minutes of talking. It is one of the best fights in this game. The music is phenomenal. The fight itself is every Izo fight cranked up to 10. Your normal combos will only work so much. You have to dodge after almost everything, even in the speedrun. Izo Final is one of RGG's best boss fights, casually and in the speedrun. The speed tech that we use, you have to be on point. It is phenomenal. Genuine. I love this fight. It is absolutely absurdly good. You then get not Hayashi. Now, technically, man should be here because man uses guns and has the fucking Arase dodge. But this is for us using guns, baseball bats. So unfortunately, he doesn't go there. Fuck you, Hayashi. How dare you make A rank? How dare you make A rank twice? Right? He made it for Dead Souls, right? Can't remember. But fuck you for making an A rank fight. This is the Arase fight in Ishin, and it's actually a really good fight. You have to be very careful with this fight. Fuck you, Hayashi. I hate this. Yes, Hayashi is high B. Yeah, you know, that makes sense. Yeah, I see him. Yeah, that makes sense. Fuck you, Hayashi. How do you make an ace the A fight? Fuck you. The repeat fights against the members of the Shinsengumi. We're gonna be putting those around the same point as Shinpachi earlier, because unfortunately they all have very similar fighting styles, some slight differences, and the thing is, it's the only time in the game you fight not Mine, so he gets a couple of extra points due to that. But essentially these four fights are very, very similar, even in the speedrun. A little bit harder, but pretty much exactly the same. Then you get to the finale, not Hamazaki. This is a cool fight. In the speedrun, you can delay the fog in this fight for quite a while, but it's unfortunately a rough fight to do it in. It's got a whole bunch of ads as well. It's a high B. It's not quite an A. It's a high B. It's a good fight in the speedrun. You lose track of not Hayashi quite easy, and you have to go after him. If you can focus him, you can make the fight a lot easier, but again, you've got a bunch of ads to contend with as well. But it's a good fight in the speedrun. It's a bit rough. The return of Andre Ricardson, this time as Donald Glover, the Englishman. Fuck your fight. I do not know whether to put you at a B or a C, you absolute jackass. This is technically gun tier. You know what? We're memeing. This is not a gun tier fight, but we're putting it in the gun tier. Reason being is that in this fight, not only does he have Arase's moveset, yes again, but all the enemies in this fight have guns, and when you start the fight behind you, there are 2 Gatling guns, and guess what you can use? The Gatling guns. Fuck you, Donald Glover, the Yakuza Ishin character. Fuck you, you go into gun mode. I don't care, I'm memeing. I care not. Takechi Hanpeita. This, I do not need to think about. Somehow, there's a fight better than goddamn Izo's in this game. You're listening to his theme. You've been listening to his theme for the past 15 minutes. This fight is a 3-tier fight. You go against the sword tier, the wild tier, and then an even stronger sword tier at the very end. If you saw my last Ishin run, you saw how well you can deal with tier 1 in the speedrun. You have to concentrate hard at this run. Phase 1 and Phase 3 are very, very hard in the run, but if you concentrate, they are some of the most rewarding speedrun fights that you can get. They are tight, they are brilliant. This fight is everything. This fight is literally everything. Ishin has, I kid you not, 2 S-tier fights in it. Ishin is phenomenal. Ishin is a beautiful game. I hope everyone gets to experience it at some point. I think we've hit OG1. I think we've hit OG1. Oh, snap. Alright, sorry, Ishin Final Battle. I love you, but it's back to Yakuza 2 music. So. OG1. How many... While I'm here, hold up. How many runs of OG1 have I done? This is karaoke percent for a second. Free. So here's the thing. Because I've only done 3 runs of OG1, I don't feel like I can appropriately label OG1 runs. With one exception. When we get to it. The Akai brothers. Is this OG1 version? Yeah, that's K1 version. The Akai brothers, OG1. This is gonna shock a lot of people. Straight up to the S tier. Reason being is that the Akai brothers in OG1, if you position yourself correctly, let them do their heat attack against you, you throw one of them out of bounds. There is no other boss fight in the Yakuza speedrun scene that you throw a boss or get a boss to yeet itself out of bounds. That is one of the most unique fights. And then you only have to deal with one of them, and the fight itself is actually still pretty goddamn good. Honestly, the Kai brothers get S tier for that alone. You talk about the speedrun, you talk about unique things. There's nothing more unique than that. Like, you literally out of bounds a boss. That's insane. Like, that is genuinely worthy of... That is genuinely worthy of that. Jingu. And there we go. Okay, K1. Now I'm back into this area of expertise. Fucking bloody fort guy. Load B. You're better than the Lost Judgment guys, I'm afraid. You're better than Ginryo as well, actually. So, Fort Guy is part tutorial, but it's also a very easy fight. Essentially, you do a beast throw, heat attack, and then you do the dragon thing. It's probably a C tier fight, but at the same time, it's a nice fight. Easy fight. Nice strat. Yuya! Wait a minute. There is a discrepancy going on here, and we'll talk about it later. Yuya. Yuya gets to go into the, would you believe it, C tier. So, you grab Yuya, actually no, B tier. Nah, you can go B tier, you can go above 4K. You grab Yuya, beast throw Yuya, and you heat attack. It's good because, here's the problem with Kiwami's bosses. Most of them are going to end up like that, but it's really good tech. So it's really hard to just say, you know, oh, this is a bad fight in terms of speedrun, because it's really not. Like, the actual tech that's used for the majority of the boss fights is really cool. This guy can go into C tier, because it's just essentially use the lamppost and just to hit everybody and whatever. This guy is literally just grab and beast throw. It's kind of the same as Yuya, for example. Shimano. I'm sorry, this is gonna get dumb. Shimano goes into the S tier just because Shimano is the first person that you do the stab against. Shimano is the fight that everybody loves to watch because you grab Shimano, charge throw him, stab him, and he dies in one hit. That's phenomenal. Like, it really is. And it's like, how do you objectify that when every single one of, like, K1's fights kind of go like that? Hayashi, it's a pain in the ass. He actually gets to be high B, I'd say. You get to be above your Dead Souls variety. It's a good fight. It's a frustrating fight in the speedrun. It's a good fight. You kind of don't want to get hit, but you can get hit. You drag him to the floor, hit him down, and then obviously you have to deal with the ads on top of that, who can be really annoying in the fight. That's why it's not, like, any higher than a B tier. But it's a decent fight in the speedrun, you know. D. Feldman, I think our Coliseum guys will get a C. C for Coliseum, I'm afraid. I love you, Gary, but you're a C tier in this one, my friend. I'm sorry. Majima Batting Center. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Where's Majima 1? Because this is Majima 2. So this tier list doesn't have a Majima 1. So, Majima Batting Center. Majima Batting Center in the speedrun, I think, is a good fight. You have the ads to deal with, but the way you have to deal with Majima, You do the usual charge throw, heat attack with the dagger, but unfortunately he doesn't die from that, so he actually survives a little longer. So I think that Majima deserves a little bit more credit for that. The problem is, there's a bunch of ads as well. They're not actually a problem at all, which is good. So here's the thing. Majima batting center for me gets, I'd say a reasonable B mid-tier. It's better than Hangman, I think. But if Majima 1, the one we fight at the start of the run, actually is a boss, he's a high A, low S. Genuinely. Genuinely. It's a hard fight. It has to be done in the speedrun, and we use good speed tech to be able to take care of it. I think that Majima 1 is one of the best boss fights in Kiwami speedrun, even though it's also the biggest point of reset and is also infuriatingly hard. It's satisfying, but you are a C tier, my boy. Beast, grab, throw, punch, or knife dagger. The B King has a couple of ads, so he gets to go one step further. I don't know why the guys in the club are here. Get below Gary, because Gary's a legend, thanks. Shota's decent. Shota's decent. Shota's kind of the same. Has a bunch of ads as well, but has a good bunch of furniture in the room. It's alright. It's a C tier. It's a bit more to write home about than the rest of them, but it is just C tier. Shindo. Oh wait, no. Gamblers. Alright, so Gamblers. This is going to be slightly controversial. Gamblers get to be a low A. Gamblers get to be a low A. Reason being is that in the speedrun originally, the Gambler fight was one of the hardest fights in the entire run. It was obtuse, it was hard, it was ridiculous. New strats make it so that the Gambler fight is so much better. So they actually get to be a low A because one, you have to make sure you hit the heat attack on them, and then you actually have to take care of all the ads as well. So you do actually use Brawler in this fight as well, so it's a little different than most of Kiwami's fight, so it gets to be a low A. It should probably be a high B instead, honestly, but considering where this fight started and where it is now, in a speedrun term, I think it's a low A. Shindo. Shindo, you can go in a reasonable B tier, I think. I think Shindo can go mid-B. Around the Majima spot. Not much to write home about in terms of the speedrun, but, you know, we start the fight by stabbing him against the wall. That's kind of cool. Then we deal with the rest of the ads. You know, it's one of those fights that's not super amazing, but you know what? It's decent. That's because I've only done 3 runs, Tap. The only one of OG1 that's not in there is the Akai brothers, just because of the out of bounds. Actually, no, to be fair, I've done enough resets on. I've done enough sets on Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, OG2 is also going in here because I've only done 1 run of OG2 as well. I can't objectively, like, say, after 3 runs, I can't objectively say for the vast majority of these fights, you know, this is a good fight, this is a bad fight. The only one I can say about is this because it has speed tech, and it's unique speed tech. This guy is just, you just demolish him. He's kind of C tier, he's kind of like high C tier, low B, it's whatever. Akai Brothers in K1 is not pure gun. You do have to use a bit of knife, but this is the start of gun strats. Funny enough, there's not actually many gun bosses in K1, now that I think about it. Kai is... I think it gets to go low B. It's better than Knife Guy. It's okay. You need to come into the fight with heat to be able to deal with the elder brother, who's the smaller one, who has Majima's Breaker style, which is one of the scariest fights that you can have in this game because it's as broken for them as it is for you in Zero. And yeah, you just deal with the rest with shotguns and then obviously stab this guy. It's a much better fight now in terms of speedrun style. It's a lot nicer, so it's not bad. I think it's a low B, probably could go up to mid B. Now Carlong, yeah, you beast charge throw, you then punch a couple of times. He deserves to be better than a C, but he's not too high in the B. He's like mid tier. Like, he's probably better than Ivan, to be honest, but that's about it. Ah, yes, feel the heat. Ah, yes, Arase. You are a little more unique than the lads in C, but you're kind of B tier as well. You're probably better than most of these guys. You're definitely better than Targa. I think you're better than Ricardson. You're definitely better than the 6 lads, I think. You're better than Ozaki. You're about here, mid-tier. I think that's fine. Majima Shangri-La. It's probably the most varied Majima fight on the list, other than the one that obviously is at the start, which would be way higher. You obviously do the Beast Throw, you go into Rush, you want to get him whittled down his HP, then obviously you go into the next phase, and if he's on 1 HP, you can kick the rock at him. It's a really cool way to end the fight. You're a high B tier. You're a high B tier, I think. Probably not better than the Izo fights, but probably definitely better than Hayashi, to be fair. I think you're a high B. Shimano! Okay, Shimano is kind of the shotgun fight of the... Okay, it's kind of the shotgun fight, let's be honest. You shotgun the ads and then you stab Shimano, that's kind of it. We get one K1 boss fight into gun, because that's basically him. Okay, Jingu, fuck, I didn't want this to happen. Jingu! In terms of a speedrun fight, has come a very long way. Jingu used to be massively nasty. I would say Jingu now has good fight strats. I'd say that Jingu deserves to be at the very least a B, maybe a low A. If the Gambler guys from where they've come from get to be a low A, so does Jingu, honestly. Is it that great of a fight? Probably not, but again, in terms of what you do in Kiwami's fights, you actually get to grab Jingu, do the heat attack, or one of the ads, obviously. Then you get to do, obviously, the throws from the ground. Then you get to hit Jingu. You want to get to red heat, specifically for the second phase. That way you can grab the ads when they get up again, do the heat attack again. Then you can defeat Jingu just as he's obviously going into his heat phase. And then you just finish the rest of the ads. It's a good fight. It's got good strats, honestly. Kind of same with K1 Nishiki. K1 Nishiki has good strats, I think. I think I would put it a little above Jingu. I'd probably put it above the Dead Souls lot. I'd probably put it above Kuwano in terms of fights. You could probably make an argument for high A, low S, because it's changed a lot in the speedrun, a lot for the better. Like, we used to use the Goemon isn't used anymore, so you have to do a little bit more work, but that work is actually really cool. You have to interrupt him as he's standing up. You have to essentially do more damage to him in other phases as well. I think that actually, I kind of want to put him a bit higher. Like, he's... thinking that Ibuchi is, like, way too high at this point. Ibuchi, you get to go to low A. Just go down there. I think he's a bit way too high at this point. OG2, again, I did one single run of OG2 the night that Lost Judgment came out. And then my PS3 died. So I cannot fairly rate the bosses in OG2 in a speedrun sense. Now here's the Tigers. That I can, because fuck that fight. Here's young lad who becomes old lad later, and Yuji, and there's the man in black. Fantastic. So we've got K1 left, we've got 0 left. So let's do 0 first, shall we? This is Final Kuze, so he goes here. Yaneda goes to the start. Oda goes next, wherever the fuck Oda is. There he is. When he goes after Oda. Let's just do it like this. Like, there. I want to get the Kuzes in order. This is Kuze 2. That's Kuze 4. This is Kuze 3 with the knuckles. This is Kuze 1. And Kuze 5 is here. Good. Okay. Fucking hell. Alright, Yaneda. Don't know why you're in this list. Going to see. Fuck you. Get into a urinal more often. Oda. Yeah. Speedrun-wise, pain in the ass. You want to hope that he goes one specific way. You need to hit him with furniture and stuff. It's not the awfulest of fights, but again, you're a little bit of needing luck. He's an average-ass fight. He is true mid. Get between Kanai and Lao Kalong. You are true mid. Nish Channy, you can go down there. Sarah, ooh. Sarah, hard fight. Harder fight in the climax battle, but we're not rating that. We're rating the speedrun. Sarah in the speedrun is a decent fight. You can keep him down for quite a while. He's kind of high B, I would say. Better than Hayashi is all I would say, I think. Kuze's. Kuze 1, your introduction to the game, one of your better proper Kuze fights. In the speedrun, I would say he's either a high B or a low A. I'd probably say a high B. Reason being is that Kuze 1 is pretty much the only one you have. You don't have access to Beast yet, you only have Brawler and Rush. So we do specific combos against Kuze. In order to push him towards the wall, and then obviously use wall heat attacks, and then obviously do the heat attack on the floor. Get into the next phase at the right time so that you don't accidentally hit his... mid-fight QTE. It's a good fight. I think you can make an argument for a low A for Kuze 1. In fact, I'm going to put him above both of these. Yeah. Wenli. Wenli gets the low B, or the mid B tier treatment. Around about, I think Arase you do more in. You basically use Breaker. Knife heat move. It's not the most exciting fight, but it's the first fight where you kind of go, oh, Breaker's amazing, so B for Breaker. B for Breaker. That's Kuze 3. Get out of there. Kuze 2. Oh boy. I'm conflicted as all hell. This gets the high B tier treatment. Mostly because it's B for Buster. So Kuze 2, one of the best fight intros of any Yakuza game ever. Fight itself, absolutely pathetic. You won't even get hit against this guy. You use Beast and you use the right combos, and you just hit him a lot. B for Buster. But speed tech wise, you keep him completely preoccupied, so I'd actually say maybe even a mid B. You know? I would say a mid B. You know, I'm gonna go there. I'm actually gonna go there. Kuze 3 is not much better. You grab a sign and then you stab him in the gut a couple of times. It's good speed tech. So in terms of speedrunning, it is pretty good speed tech. They're kind of like very similar. Kuze 4 is a rough ass fight. Kuze 4 is a rough ass fight. I would say it would probably be around about the same point. Probably a bit more higher. Use Essence of Beast Torment to get rid of 1 HP bar on Kuze. Hit him with a cart a couple of times. Get your heat back. Do it again. Take care of the ads. It's a decent fight. It's a decent fight. It's whatever. You know, it's a decent fight. That's all I got. Kuze 5. This is going into the A tier, and I think it's actually going to go into about... I think it's going to go above Kugihara. Probably above Saito as well, actually. So, Kuze... Fight tracks for Kuze are quite tight in terms of the run. So, you start by hitting him with a coffee sign that starts next to you behind you. Essence of the Beast Torment. Run over and grab one of the electric motorbikes, and by doing enough damage, you can just beat him when he goes into his next phase. Well, you have to do a combo after with the bike after when you get out that QTE, but you should be able to finish him at that point. So, Kuze 5 has a good bit of tech to it. Very good bit of kind of keeping him down, etc. Good no-sell in the middle of the fight. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight. It's the best Kuze fight, I think, in the speedrun. Kashiwagi. The only Kashiwagi fight in the entire series. Kashiwagi. It has the QTE, which makes things fucking scary. I still think it's only about a high B to a low A. Not really much happens in the fight. You break her a bunch. You have to do good Nishitani fight, the Nishitani strats to keep him down. I think that Nishiki is a better fight. I think that Nishiki is a much better fight. And the problem that I have with Nishiki in putting him higher is the fact that he can glitch out. And if he glitches out in the speedrun, you lose a bunch of time. So that's the reason that's holding Nishiki back, because we still don't know what causes the glitch for him to stand around for a minute. You can lose a minute in this fight and just that's the end of the run. Like, Nishiki, I really like the fight. It's a good fight. You use the best to break her, but the fight can cause you a massive time loss. But it's more involved than most fights of Majima. Although, speaking of, Wano gets a high A. Wano gets a very high A. So does Lao Gui. I don't know why the Chinese Lao Gui here is. They're the same fight. They're exactly the same fight, so I guess you can both go. You can both go together, I guess. So both fights are exactly similar in kind of startup in nature, in that you want to push them towards a corner with furniture. So you're already doing more in this fight than most fights. You want to push them to a corner with furniture, and you want to use Nishitani strat to keep them down. Now, for the most part, that's going to work. For Wano, it's not going to work as well, because the guy is a higher built enemy, so he actually gets up a lot earlier. You want to get through all of Lao Gui's phases in one go if you can, which you can do by using the same strat. And the nice thing about Lao Gui is he starts completely parallel to a corner with furniture in. So you can just keep attacking at the start and push him into that corner, and then do your combos. So both fights are insanely satisfying, good speed tech, good fights. Like, really like it. Really like them a lot. I'll leave Shibusawa for the end because he's the final boss. Wenli 2! It's like Wenli 1, but longer. And cooler. Nishitani. Nishitani is going to go just above Wenli, I think. Nishitani birthed Nishitani strat. So Nishitani strat is essentially... I should probably put him higher, honestly, especially like phase 1. Nishitani birthed Nishitani strat, which is basically when an enemy is getting off the floor, change slugger, use the heat move. Same kind of principle as Shinada's bat attack or pipe attack in 5. When enemies get off the ground, heat attack, keeps them down, does good damage. Like, honestly, I think that Nishitani is probably more respectable of a high B to mid A, but I'm tired and I'm not thinking straight. So, Shibusawa. It's going into the S tree. Absolutely going into the S tree. Could probably be put a bit higher into the S tree, honestly. Shibusawa is probably the best one-on-one fight in Yakuza. In the speedrun, he uses all of his phases. We use Beast a lot, obviously, but we start with a very set, specific combo. We start with a normal combo. S to the Beast Torment to make it so that he gets on the floor, do another hit, puts him into his Beast phase. You go Beast versus Beast, you try and get a table and hit him with it. Once that table's done, you either get another table, or you can do a heat attack against him if he's holding a weapon, or you do another chair, etc. You got lots of options. You just want to get him to the last phase quickly. You get his phase down to like you get his phase down to where it'll be 1 HP from S to the Beast Torment. Getting down to 1 HP, you skip an entire phase as final QT. You have speed tech in the actual fight. I think Shibusawa deserves the S. I think that Shibusawa is one of the best fights in Yakuza. So, in the speedrun, he's fantastic. Genuinely. Like, genuinely. Kaito. Daigo. Punk-ass buster. B for bike. He goes with the Yakuza 6 guys of B for bike. There you go, lad. Ryuji 1. Ryuji 1 is kind of cool, because you get the Nameless Katana in the set piece, and then you use it against him in the fight. So it's a quick turnaround on the usage of that. You basically keep Ryuji 1 down, but Ryuji 1 can also mess you up post-QTE. So you do have to be quite careful. I mean, Ryuji 1 gets probably a mid to high B, honestly. It's probably better than Hayashi, honestly. At Colosseum, boys, the squeever. You just kind of hit with a sword. Gary, again, I'm sorry, my dude. You're a C, because it's just a sword. I'm so sorry, Gary. Majima is essentially the same, but Majima is even more annoying at the end of the fight, therefore you get to be in a low B. You gotta do a little bit more against Majima. Kim and Choi, you hit him with a bench and you pray the Dragon Engine allows you to use Feel the Heat. It's a whatever fight. It's a whatever fight. Hayashi. It's actually a cool fight. It's actually a good fight for Speed Tech. So, Hayashi, in terms of the speed run, you're going to be a reasonably high B tier, actually. Above your... You know what? You can go above your other counterparts, I think. You use one weapon hit into a heat move. Hit him as he's getting up. Then he does his mid-fight QTE. You hit him once, and then you don't do his last fight QTE. It's actually reasonably hard timing-wise, so you do have to be a little careful. Is this the funeral parlor guy? Get the fuck out of my face! See for crap tier. Yeah, I mean, everyone's better than unfortunate, my dude. Shindo. A Shindo strap. That gets to go into a decently high A tier, actually. Shindo getting to be an A tier boss. Amazing. You can actually be, you can be actually very high A tier, I think. So, Shindo strap. Man, I actually kind of want to put him as a low S tier. Yeah, you know what? He does. He gets to be a low S tier because of the Shindo gun strap. So, as you saw earlier with the run we did earlier, you get him down to low HP, get him outside, and then you shoot him with a gun. That doesn't sound amazing. It actually is. It's good speed tech. It's very good in terms of doing the fight fast. And then at that point, as long as you've done the first part of the fight correctly and not thrown the sofa away, you have a sofa for the last part of the fight to hit him with at the end after QTE. Shindo is an S tier in terms of speedrun stuff because he's got very good strats. He's nice and easy to do. This is Sim. Fuck you, you ruined my speedrun a lot. Fuck you, getting C tier. Tigers, oh fucking hell. So the Tigers actually have decent speed tech, but we're missing the biggest piece of speed tech for the Tigers. Tigers get to be a mid B tier, or maybe even a high B tier. Tigers aren't as good as Hayashi Dead Souls, I hate to say it. Tigers suck. Because we know the best way to deal with Tigers is to hit them both at the same time, but that just is slow. Like, getting them lined up is insanely hard. So we start by just soaring the first Tiger at the start of the fight. And then we deal with the second one. Like, fuck Tigers. Like, the Tigers in OG2 speedrun. Again, I'm not actually putting them in the list because I've obviously only done one run of OG2. The Tigers in OG2 speedrun are a lot more... They're a lot more involved, but they're also run-ending. So, you know, they're scarier in OG2. They're actually, I would say the OG2 version would probably go higher on the tier list due to the fact that obviously you need to do more against them, but they're also scary. Very scary. Hey, it's Kurahashi with a gun. You stab him with a sword. I don't want to put him C tier, but you just stab him with a sword. Fuji 1. Fuji 1 requires a little bit more finesse. Fuji 1, you could probably put him as a mid B. I'm just going to put him as a low B because I'm starting to get tired. It's 2 AM. One hit with the Nameless. Heat attack. Hit him as he's standing up. One last hit. It's Ryuji. It's a whatever fight. Daejim fucking Kim. Can't believe I'm doing this. Can't believe I'm doing this. Daejim Kim gets to be an A tier. Probably even a fucking high A tier. Fuck you, Daejim Kim. Unbelievable. This fight has evolved a lot over the years. Daejim Kim is... You start off with your wooden sword, You do normal attacks to get him into the QTE, then you do Shen Strat, which is a QTE skip, which basically makes it go faster. Then you get, because you've done enough damage, you get put into his next QTE, which when you do that successfully puts him at 1 HP. You stay away from him so that you don't put away your weapon, and then you obviously take him out. It's a good fight. In the speedrun, the strats are great. It's a speedrun tier list. I'd have to be objective to speedrun strats. It's a good fight. In the speedrun, it's a good fight. I have to be objective. It's a good fight. Daejun Kim gets an A. And one final fight. And I think this one is probably gonna go around... It's gonna go around to a high A. I would want to put it on S, but it's a very solid fight. So, in the run, you've gotten up to 174 attacks specifically, so that you don't accidentally put Ryuji Final into his second phase. Reason being is that if you put him into his final phase early, you do obviously less damage. So, you do one strong, one heat attack, hit him as he's getting up, QTE, hit him as he's getting up. It's actually a lot harder than it seems, but it's very, it's smooth, it's very nice, it's very clean. So there's a couple of series, there's 2 games missing from this list. Kenzan, of which the only bosses I remember are Majima, which would be probably low A, high B, because that's an infuriating fight. And Fat Arase at the end of the game that would probably be a C tier, because holy shit, what a final boss. You've got the boss fights on the way to him that are all like a low B tier. They're all better than him. It's terrible. We have Kaito files. If you don't want to hear Kaito files spoilers, wait until I scroll back up the list. Kaito files bosses. Fudo the Killer. Fudo would be mid B, because we juggle, we get him up, and then we let him do his EX, and then we try and juggle again. Nishio 1. I feel like we're missing something in that fight, so I can't give that a high ranking. I would give it a mid B as well. You juggle Nishio, and then we have to deal with the ads. The lovely lad himself. I've forgotten his goddamn name. The drunk lad. Phase 1 with the lamppost. It's a good fight. You kind of have to go aggressive against him. I'd say it's also mid B. Kenmochi. Yeah, Kenmochi. I think you would probably do... I think it'd probably be a mid B. Maybe high B. Because you do have to dodge a lot to make sure you don't get knocked to the ground. Because unless you're in an EX, Kaito doesn't have a way to get up off the ground that quickly. So you do have to be a little bit careful. After Kenmochi 1 is... It's Kenmochi 2, isn't it? Now that's a good fight. That's a low A. That's a low A. There's a lot of things you can do in that fight. I like that fight a lot. That's a low A. And then after Kenmochi 2 is... Knife Daddy. Knife Daddy gets to be a mid to high A. Because Knife Daddy is actually a really hard fight if you let it be. Oh, Nishio 2, right. Oh, Battle Agency. Battle Agency... I'd say mid to A, mid to high B. You need to come in and position yourself right to get the vase to use that with tank. Other than that, you do a good bit of juggling in that fight. Ishido, I think his name is, the guy with the sword. He's actually really weak to the power driver. So you want to power drive him and you want to launch Bato. Sendo, even. Sendo. Igarashi, that's the one. Nishio 2 and technically 3, I count them as the same fight in the hotel because it's a 2-phase fight. You need to juggle Nishio. So that already starts off as a good fight. There's some ads to deal with as well. I think that's a high B, low A. I think there's good strats in that fight. Knife Daddy, again, I think that's probably a mid A. Due to juggle first phase and then be careful phase 2. And Karate Doc. Bounding through the returns. I think mid A. I'm mid A. Honestly. It's a good fight. It's a bounding throw fight, but again, it's just a bounding throw fight. It's simple. But you still need to do the right timing to get it off like you would with bounding throw. So I think that's how they would end, and I think that's my list. I think that's my list. I know there's a lot of controversy over this, but remember, this was a speedrun tier list. So how the bosses are in the speedrun, how they've kind of changed a little bit, how they are now, what it's like to fight them, how annoying they are in the speedrun, difficulty, etc. The tech that they use. I do genuinely think that Kuroiwa, Hanpeita, and Zoey are top 3 speedrun bosses because they're fucking phenomenal. I think there's a good couple of boss fights in here that you could interchange around. There's a good couple of boss fights in here that have good tech. Again, OG1 guys, you yeet one of them out of bounds. It's great. Like, you don't get that with any other fight. That alone, like, allows it to be an S tier, even though the fight itself is still pretty good. Like, it's one of those things that's just because of the actual speed tech, it's good. And yes, Cane Man should probably not be in an S tier, but I have a boner for Cane Man, so I don't care. So that's it. YouTube, if you managed to make it through the entirety of this list, thanks. I tried to do casual thoughts as well alongside it. That's why this took so long. Casual list would look a little different to this list, but a lot of these would still be the same. Kuroiwa would absolutely be probably one of my favorite final boss fights. If done correctly, the boss at the bottom of my tier list, Kuana Final, would be a lot higher. Like, that's the controversial one. But again, remember, this is the speedrun. All you do is press circle against this guy. That's it. Like, it's the easiest fight in any Yakuza speedrun. You could say that it has actual speed tech to it, but it's just chug and extract and hit circle. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna play favorites, even though I absolutely love Lost Judgment. When I die in Final, Kuroiwa are the best boss idea I've ever made. I agree. Takashi Hanpeita is insanely good. It's such a long fight. It's such a grueling fight. It's such a good fight. It's the culmination of the entire game. It's very good. I'd recommend getting your hands on Ishin if you can. It goes on sale on Japanese PSN quite often. There is a website that did a full translation for it. You can play along with that translation guide. They have the subtitles. They have the cutscene subtitled. If it ever comes to the West, I will sell it out every single fucking day, and I hope that people would actually get it, because Ishin is phenomenal. I'm a little biased, but again, top 2 of my top 3 favorite speedrun bosses are right here from Ishin. They're fantastic. You slap literally a man's ass. That's in the A tier, because slap ass, it's great. But hey, you know what I can finally do? I can finally go into the channel point menu, manage rewards and challenges, rank the Yakuza boss fight speedrun mode as complete. Wow. It's finally done. We finally finished a challenge that we set last year. Wow. It's an actual genuine Christmas miracle. Congratulations, everybody. Pat on the back. That only took, what, bloody 3.5 hours?